everyone. We have decided that we will pray to God at the start of every meeting. So before starting this meeting, let us pray for
Hello.
1 second.
Let's pray to the Almighty for His grace, for His blessings for a few seconds.
Shila.
Dear members, we have requested CA Rajiv Sharma ji to recite a poem for our members before the start of this meeting. Sharma sir, are you there? Sir,
Rajiv Sharma, I think he is not there.
not there.
I've not seen him.
सर आपकी फिर राजीव सर की पोएम पेंडिंग रख लेते हैं सर
अगली स्टेज ते कर लेना उन्होंने
सर now I am officially starting this meeting. In this e-study circle meeting we will covering the topic taxation and transaction.
राजीव जी आगे ने हेलो मोहित जी राजीव जी आगे ने करा दो
जी सर प्लीज
हेलो राजीव जी जरा
जी आप अपनी पोइम शेयर करो सर.
हाँ जी नमस्कार सर.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार जी.
हाँ जी मैं शेयर करा सर.
हाँ जी
हाँ जी
मोहित जी ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾ ਸਾਈਜ਼ ਜਰਾ ਫੋਟੋ ਦਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧਾ ਦਿਓ.
फ्रंट कर देंगे.
अंशुल जी करियो.
जी सर ਤੁਸੀਂ स्टार्ट करो प्लीज.
ठीक सर ठीक है जी. नमस्कार प्रधान जी मानयोग मैंबर साहिबान. कुछ मेरे दो शब्द ने सर किसी टाइम में लिखे सीगे कि व्हाट इज अबाउट लाइफ व्हाट इज लाइफ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੋਂ. ਇਹਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪਾर्ट है पोइम ਦਾ सवाल मेरे खुदा से कि ये ख्वाहिशों का ही दौर है ये है जिंदगी कि सुकून तो कहीं और है ये है जिंदगी ये बेचैनी अब पुरजोर है ये है जिंदगी मंजिल मेरी कहीं और है ये है जिंदगी. मेरे इस प्रश्न का जिहड़ा आंसर परमात्मा द्वारा दिता जाता है जवाब मेरे खुदा के कि नहीं ख्वाहिशों का ही दौर भर है जिंदगी सच मान के है सुकून इधर ये है जिंदगी सुन बात मेरी बंदे दिल से ध्यान कर कि जो ताकते हैं राह तेरी आंख भर कि जो ना सो सके थे पेट भूखे रात भर कि जो कर सके कुछ वास्ते उनके भी कर बस जी लिया जी भर के तू खुद के लिए बस जी लिया जी भर के तू खुद के लिए अब जी ले पल कुछ जिंदगी उनके लिए.
डेबिट केड़ी होगी जिथे अमाउंट वधी है जिथे अमाउंट वधी है क्रेडिट होएगी ते आ एस नालो आ
मैनेजर साहब एंट्रियां बाद चो पवा लियो.
मेरी आवाज आ रही सर?
जी सर आ रही है.
ऑडिबल ऑडिबल कि जो ना सो सके थे पेट भूखे रात भर कि जो कर सके कुछ वास्ते उनके भी कर बस जी लिया जी भर के तू खुद के लिए अब जी ले पल कुछ जिंदगी उनके लिए एहसास तुझको दरअसल हो जाएगा जो ढूंढता है वो सुकून तू पाएगा औरों को भी फिर बोल ये तू पाएगा कि सच मानिए है सुकून इधर ये है जिंदगी. थैंक यू.
Thank you very much, Rajiv sir. Members, in this e-study circle meeting, we will be covering the topic taxation in transactions in securities and cryptocurrencies. And our guest speaker of the day is CA Jignesh Kumar Parekh. When contacted by our president, he accepted the request and has joined us from Ahmedabad to enlighten our members. Members, this meeting will be conducted under the guidance of our study circle convener CSG Kaushalji with technicalities to be handled by me, Anshuji and Sangamji, our executive members. Queries and question and answer session will be taken up by Rajiv Sharma ji and Gulshan Badwa ji. Members can raise their queries in the chat box or by raise of hand. We have already received some queries from the members which are forwarded to the speaker already and will be taken up. Now I would invite our President C.S. Subhash ji to formally welcome our guest speaker and members and share some association activities with them. Sir, please.
Moiji, for me,
Ji sir, ji, welcome address.
ये layout change कर दो यार, अंशुल जी.
कर दिया सर, कर दिया.
Good afternoon, everybody. This topic, taxation of securities and cryptocurrency transactions, is I think one of the topic which is tough, considering that there are voluminous number of transactions and variety of entries, permutations, combinations, and taxation of each one of those combinations, making entries in books of account, whether it amounts to turnover or not, whether it amounts to income or not, whether it is, if there is any income, whether loss will be set off or not, whether it is taxable or not. So many permutation combinations are there, and we were just thinking who is to be requested to give lecture on this very tough topic. And when I contacted Mr. C.A. Jignesh Parik, he is in Ahmedabad. Mr. Sanjay Agrawal, Center Council member, gave me his number. When I contacted him and asked him, will you be able to do some webinar for Ludhiana branch? And I asked him which topic you would like to do. He said, any topic of your choice. So that is the beauty of his, wisdom. And when I said that we would like to have this taxation of security, he just said, yes, I will do it. So he has chosen for this very tough topic. I welcome you, Dinesh Parik, and thank you very much for being part of this webinar. And I would certainly like members to have a clap for him at the initially, please. And now I welcome all the members who have participated today. And there are 66 participants at this moment. And it will, I think, go on because generally member join after 4:20, 4:25. And I would, I will also thank my study circle team with the convener Rajiv Kaushal ji, Gulshan Badwa ji, Pushkal Soni ji, Rajiv Sharma ji, and other my own team members, executive team, for doing this wonderful webinar, organizing this webinar, which is really in need of the hour, because presently balance sheets are being finalized and audit is being conducted. This webinar is very timely, and I think you will all be benefited with this webinar. I again welcome Mr. Parik and all the participants, and thank you very much for this, for your active participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request our study circle members here, Pushkal Soni ji, to formally introduce our guest speaker. Pushkal ji, please.
Thanks, Moiji. At the outset, I welcome and thanks CA Jignesh Kumar Farikji for sharing his knowledge and experiences with us. CA Jignesh Kumar Farikji is fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He is partner in Patel and Jasalpura Chartered Accountant, Ahmedabad since January 2013. He has an experience of over 11 years in the field of statutory audit of corporate and non-corporate client, including bank audit. Apart from this, his main area of focus are management consultancy, financial due diligence, presentation before income tax authority up to income tax appellate tribunal, designing SOP and KRA and getting the same implemented. He has delivered lecture on various topics of income tax, including ICDS, accounting standard, at various branches of ICI, study circle, and tax practitioner associations. He has also worked as chief compiler for compilation of on ICDS issued by Jamnagar branch of WIRC of ICI during December 2016. He also contributes article to journal published for member and for the financial year 16-17 and financial year 19-20. The article written by him were adjudicated as the best article under direct tax category. He has been appointed as co-opted member of Direct Tax Committee of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICI for financial years 17-18 and 2021. In September 2020, he has received Certificate of Appreciation for Income Indian Corporate Law Services Academy, Government of India for compilation of reading material on subject of income tax. Sir, it's hats off to you. In short span of time, your career you have did a lot in his career. Now I request Mohiji to proceed.
Mohanji, एक minute. I formally welcome our member of Northern India Regional Council, Mr. C.A. Dinesh Sharma, and President and other officers of Indirect Taxation Committee, ITCA, and branch officials, Mr. Basu Agarwal, I have seen he's vice chairman of the branch, he's there, and all other officers and the chairman or anybody who is not in the picture. I welcome you all, and also my newsletter team, Harish Aneja ji is there, and legal team, Mr. Amarjit Kamboj is there, and technical team, all the team members who are there in this webinar. I welcome you all, please.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mohit.
Sir, it's now time for our speaker to hold the mic. I request our learned speaker to enlighten our members. Sir, please.
Respected managing committee members and dignitaries present here. At the outset, I convey my sincere thanks for allowing me to present my views on this interesting and important topic. I always start my session with a note that there is an undisputed fact that one person who gains for sure after delivering a session is the faculty himself, because one has to prepare, one has to read, and that is the reason I not only grab such opportunities of delivering a talk, but also request all the members that whenever you also get such opportunity, grab it with both the hands. It will not only help you preparing a topic, it would also help you presenting a matter before the authorities as well. Another interesting part is that, after becoming a chartered accountant, we get an opportunity to learn only in two circumstances. A, when we get an opportunity to deliver a talk, and B, when our client gets a so-cause notice. So it is always desirable to learn under first circumstances. So, when the second opportunity comes, when a notice comes to a client, it can, be converted into vitamin M. So, of course, it was in a lighter note. But then, having said this, so I convey my sincere thanks for giving me an opportunity to present my views and to deliberate on this interesting issue before this August gathering. Now, with this background, with this note, I would start with the topic which has been allocated to me. What we are going to deal in this session is issue number one. We are going to deal with the issues relating to derivatives. Number two, we are going to deal with the share transaction, meaning thereby the delivery based share transaction. And number three, we are going to deal with the cryptocurrencies. So these are the three issues which we are going to take, and we are going to deal with the direct tax issues relating thereto. As pointed out in the beginning itself, that we can take up queries at the end. If somebody, so many queries have been forwarded to me, I'll try to cover those queries in between. If at all I miss those particular query, I would request that if I may be interrupted in between, and I would deal with that query at the same point of time as well. So I'm comfortable both the ways. Now
I think, sir, let us take it at the end of the session, because otherwise this session, I think that will be too lengthy. I think that may be not possible.
I agree. That would
If other members agree, please. Right, sir. At the
Alright.
end, sir.
Sure. So now let's start with the topic. And the first issue that comes is with respect to derivative. Can a chartered accountant in practice enter into derivative transaction, equity derivative transaction? Can a chartered accountant in practice enter into an equity derivative transaction? Had I been given an opportunity to deliberate at least 1 year before, I would have said that no, a chartered accountant in practice cannot. But now this issue has been taken up by the council of the Central Council ICAI, and finally ICAI has decided that a chartered accountant in practice can very well deal into the derivative. So far as he is dealing into derivative on his own behalf, he can surely do that. What they have said is, it has been noticed that many chartered accountants are making investments in investment transactions in derivatives. Therefore, the subject was taken before the Ethical Standard Board of ISCAI. This council is allowed to permit activities that are ancillary to the profession for FCA. It has viewed that the CA curriculum includes the topic. It calls for utilizing knowledge in finance, company law, etc. to invest in derivatives. Investment in shares and securities, etc. Derivatives is a kind of a security. Therefore, it is incorrect to say that transaction in derivatives are not permissible. Derivative transactions are not business activity and would therefore not be deemed as prohibited from the standpoint of members in practice undertaking the said activity in their individual capacity and not in a professional capacity. However, trading in commodity derivatives is not prohibited. So this is what is the first clarity. A CA in practice on his own can surely do this. There is no prohibition. After after referring to this, no, just to ensure that I don't end up sharing a wrong information, I had a discussion with one of the Central Council member, and a senior Central Council member agreed to me that yes, this is a right information which I have got, because this information I got from the public domain. So that's why I thought it to confirm so that we can share an authentic information. So yes, now a chartered accountant in practice can really do that. That leads me towards the second issue. What do we really mean by a derivative transaction? Or rather, that leads me to how this derivative transactions are going to be taxed. I mean, they are going to be taxed as business income, they are going to be taxed as a speculative business, or they are going to be taxed as income from other sources. So first is, what do we mean by speculative transaction? So answer to this question is given under section 43. Section 43 defines the various definitions. It gives definitions of various terms. One of the term here is a speculative transaction, which says that a transaction which is settled otherwise than by way of actual delivery. If the transaction is settled otherwise than by way of an actual delivery, then it is going to be a speculative transaction. So if I restrict myself here, then yes, a derivative transaction is a speculative business. But if I go into the exceptions, then they will say that if a derivative share F&O transaction or commodity F&O transactions are being carried out, and the conditions prescribed therein, like there should be a digital contract note, STT or CTT should have been paid, if they are being met, then they are going to be a normal business transaction. In that case, it would be treated as a normal business transaction, meaning that it will cease to be a speculative transaction. Now appreciate and understand the point. If there is an intraday transaction, in that case, intraday, I purchased share today, sold it today only. I did not take a delivery. If it is an intraday transaction, it would be a speculative transaction. If I have executed a transaction like I bought Reliance future, I bought IRCTC future, I bought TCS future, I enter into this kind of a transaction, it is going to be a speculative, assuming that they did it on the floor of the stock exchange, which is backed by digital contract, not STT has been paid. If that be the case, here the situation would be that it would not be treated as a speculative transaction. Now, this is what section 43 talk about. Meaning thereby, if I carry out this transaction, then it will not be treated as a speculative transaction. So far, so good. Now, if I go a step ahead, we have one more section called section 73. Now, what does section 73 says? Section 73 says that if there is a loss from a speculative business, it can be set up only against the speculative income. If there is a loss from a normal business, it can be set up against the speculative income, but the speculative loss can be set up against the speculative income. They further go and adding an explanation to say that in case of a company who is not an investment company, whose principal business is not to deal in not to give loans in advance, or whose principal business is not to deal into the purchase and sale of the shares. In that case, in case of a company which does not fall into these three exceptions, if this company has a loss from dealing in shares, in that particular case, the loss would be deemed to be a speculative transaction. Now, this leads towards the first controversy, or I would say second issue for the day. The issue here is that in case of a non-corporate entity, for example, partnership firm, individual, LLP, one can say that the issue is very clear that if I entered into Reliance, if I deal into the Reliance F&O, or I deal into the Wipro future or IRCTC future, the things are pretty clear that so far as I satisfy the condition given under section 43, would that be a speculative business? The answer is no, it will not be a speculative business, because I have satisfied the conditions or given under exception to section 43, then that particular case there will not be a problem to it. Now, if that is the situation in case of A Limited has dealt into Reliance future, A Limited has dealt into the Wipro future, what would be that nature? So far as they are buying and selling shares, in that case, yes, the explanation is pretty clear. They say that it is going to be a business transaction. They say that it is going to be a speculative business. Fair enough. But what would be a situation in case A Limited is dealt into Reliance future? Still, it would be treated as a speculative business. Now, the issue came up before the Honorable Delhi High Court. Honorable Delhi High Court has, or rather, let me take a pause for a minute before I go to the judiciary part. The question comes is why this kind of an explanation brought into the statute, or what was the reason that this is made as a part of? This is made this kind of an explanation was introduced, or buying and selling in shares in case of a company is being made as a part, being treated as a speculative business. So that is being answered by circular number 204, because this section came somewhere in 1975, 1974. And if we go to the circular originally explaining, they say that there are certain companies or group companies who are controlling certain group companies, and just to evade the income, they used to buy and share the shares of their group companies, and thereby they used to somewhere they used to somewhere enter into the they used to somewhere manage to reduce the taxable income. This was what the logic given. Now, this argument was forwarded before the Delhi High Court, and it was discussed that the logic is this. So far as derivative dealing is concerned, if you go into the legislative intent, then so far as dealing into the derivatives are concerned, certainly this may not be treated as a speculative loss. But the Delhi High Court found it appropriate not to agree with the assess's argument, and they said that ultimately the derivative is one which derives the value from the underlying security, and the underlying securities are shared. Since they derive the value from the underlying security being shared, in that particular case, the things are very clear. It will not be treated as it will be treated as a speculative transaction only. Meaning thereby the loss will be a speculative loss. Matter once again came before the Honorable Calcutta High Court. Same Delhi High Court judgment was relied upon by the revenue, but Honorable Calcutta High Court found it appropriate once again not to agree with the Delhi High Court, and they said that no, derivative is a different issue. So far as they are dealing into a derivative, and section 43 already excludes derivative in F&O. In that particular case, for a corporate entity, if the conditions of section 43(5) are satisfied, then it will not be treated as a speculative loss. So, meaning thereby, Calcutta High Court has taken a different view. Recently, Bombay High Court has also on the similar issue has taken a view in favor of the assessee that if F&O activities are being carried out by a company in that particular case, they are not dealing in shares. So F&O activities are being carried out. Certainly, it will not be treated as a speculative transaction if conditions of section 43(5) are being met. So that is the one I wanted to clarify. Going to the next issue. The next issue which comes up here is that whether provisions of section 44 AD would be applicable to this derivative transactions, would it be applicable to an intraday transactions? Number A, if I go to section 44 AD directly, just give me a minute. If I just go to section 44 AD, Then section 44ED deals with the eligible assessee doing eligible business. So far as an assessee is an eligible assessee, so far as the assessee is doing an eligible business, provisions of section 44ED are applicable subject to satisfaction of the other conditions. Now, what do we mean by eligible business? They say that eligible business means any business except the business of plying, hiring, or leasing of goods carriage referred to in section 44A and whose total turnover or gross receipt in the profession does not exceed an amount of 2 crore rupees. Meaning thereby, if I have entered into a derivative transaction, if I have entered into let's say F&O transaction and my turnover does not exceed 2 crore rupees, assuming I am an eligible assessee, in that particular case, provisions of section 44AD are surely going to be made applicable to me. Certainly, when I say that I need to be an eligible assessee, let me quickly go through what do we mean by an eligible assessee. Eligible assessee means an individual or HUF or a partnership firm who is a resident, right? So it is applicable to a resident individual, resident HUF, and resident partnership firm. Here, LLP is not to be counted here, and who has not claimed any deduction under section 10A, 10AA, 10B, 10B, or deduction under any other provisions of chapter 6A under parts under heading C, meaning thereby under that income sided deduction he should not have claimed it. He should be in the resident individual, resident into undivided family, resident partnership firm, meaning thereby so far as non-resident is considered, he is no more an eligible assessee, so provisions of 44AD will not be applicable. Another part is section 44AD subsection 6 says that the provisions of this section, notwithstanding anything contained in the foregoing provisions, shall not apply to a person carrying on profession as referred to in subsection 1 or section 44AA, a person earning income in the nature of commission or brokerage, or a person carrying on agency business. Meaning thereby, who are not going to be the eligible assessee? Technically, all non-residents are not going to be an eligible assessee. Resident individual, resident HUF, resident partnership firm is an eligible assessee. The next condition is they should not be claiming income exemption under 10A, etc. They should not be having income. They should not be claiming deduction under 80IE, IBIC, ATP, and all those 80JJdouble and all those sections. They should not be having commission income. They should not be having brokerage, and they should not be carrying out profession referred to in section 44AA. Meaning thereby, if Mr. X is a chartered accountant, if Mr. X chartered accountant in practice, I'm not talking about chartered accountant in industry. If Mr. X is a doctor practicing, not a doctor employed with a particular hospital getting salary income. So if that be the situation, here the point is pretty clear that they are professional covered under 44AA. They are no more an eligible assessee. Since they are not an eligible assessee, 44AD will have no applicability here. But if I talk about a kirana trader, if I talk about a stationery trader, if I talk about a manufacturer who is otherwise satisfying the other conditions, and in that case, yes, this intraday business, speculative business, is treated as an eligible business. And if the assessee is an eligible assessee, provisions of section 44AD is applicable. That leads me towards a question that here the limit is to be turnover is to be counted. Here the turnover is to be checked. Now, how this turnover is required to be calculated? So far as a delivery based transaction are concerned, or so far as intraday transaction are concerned, we have to take the difference in modulus, meaning that by ignoring the sign, we have to take the difference between the purchase and sale, and we have to take that difference. Whatever is the total, whatever the total comes, ignoring the sign, if that exceeds 2 crore rupees, you are out of 4480. If that is within 2 crore rupees, this business is covered. And yes, we have to go by 6% or 8%. Certainly here, all the transactions are going to be done through banking channel. So grossly, it is going to be 6% is going to be the presumed income in this particular case. So that is the first issue in section 4480, how to calculate turnover. Let's say that in a Wipro future, I made a loss of 2 lakhs of rupees. I made a profit of 3 lakhs of rupees in IRCTC future. So total is 5 lakhs. I need to take 6% of 5 lakh. 30,000 is what should be the minimum income that I need to offer to tax, assuming I'm being caught by the other provisions of section 44AD. Issue that comes up here is that intraday is a speculative business. I agree. This derivative is not a speculative, assuming the conditions are satisfied. But for both of them, 44AD would be applicable, because 44AD nowhere prescribes that the business should be a speculative business or a non-speculative business. So it says that it should be an eligible business. An eligible business means a business should not be of the nature referred to in 44A and whose turnover does not exceed 2 crore. So in this case, it would be covered. Unfortunately, in our ITR, they allow us to give different name of the business. They give multiple choice. I mean, they give multiple item. They give us the option to enter multiple business name, trade names. But so far as when we go on entering the data in the ITR, may it be for a presumptive taxation, they do not give the details to enter. They do not give the option to enter the detail business wise. So here I need to put the
Speaker sir, sorry to interrupt you in between. स्पीड थोड़ी सी अगर कम कर लेंगे ना तो मेंबर्स वो हो जाएंगे. हालांकि आई अंडरस्टैंड, आई बेग अपॉलॉजी, आई नो कि वो एक स्टाइल होता है बोलने का, बट थोड़ी सी स्पीड अगर कम हो जाएगी तो मेंबर ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल हो जाएंगे. वंस अगेन आई फील एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी फॉर इंटरप्टिंग
no, absolutely no problem. I will be better careful.
you.
I would be better careful, and there's nothing to be apologized in that. I was just going in my flow. I'm extremely sorry. And of course, I always convey this to my participants. I would go in a flow, but then you have your handbrakes with you. You can apply the handbrakes. You can take me a reverse. You can take me fast forward. All is yours. So that's how we can make the session as live as we can. So you want me to if you want any part to be repeated, I will do that first.
नहीं ठीक है सर, आप कंटिन्यू कीजिए.
आप कंटिन्यू करिए.
There's some member is raising hand, Mr. Ankur.
Let the queries be at the end of the session.
No worries. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. All right. So what I was discussing is that section 44 AD talks about eligible business only. It does not talk about that whether it should be a legal business or an illegal business, speculative business or a non-speculative business. It says that it should be an eligible business. And what do we mean by an eligible business? Eligible business means a business which is not of the nature referred to in section 44A, and the turnover does not exceed 2 crore. That's it. Meaning thereby derivative transaction, yes, it is an eligible business. Intraday transaction, yes, it is going to be an eligible business. Right? So far as my turnover does not exceed 2 crore rupees. So now that comes to what we discussed. I said Reliance Future, I have got a profit of 2 lakh. Wipro, I made a loss 3 lakh. Total is 5 lakhs of rupees. So yes, my turnover here is going to be 5 lakhs of rupees for the purpose of section 40. I mean, turnover for all the purposes my going to be 5 lakhs of rupees. Similar is the exercise that needs to be done for the intraday activity. Let's say that turned out to be 30 lakhs of rupees. Now the point is, should I take this 5 lakh and 30 lakh separately? Ideally, yes, because they talk about eligible business. They talk about eligible assessee. Section categorically distinguishes that each business is going to be a separate business. But unfortunately, it is really unfortunate part that in the return, we have not been given those particular different columns for the different detail to enter different business. So I'm left with no alternative but to put those things together, 35 lakhs of rupees. And then I'll have to proceed further, assuming the other conditions are satisfied. So, for how to compute turnover in case of a derivative, in case of a delivery-based transaction, how to compute turnover? Same. In case of an F&O, how to compute my turnover? In modulus, I have to take the difference between the difference of settlements, right? So, positive and negative differences in modulus. In case of intraday, similar pattern. In case of option, the premium received. Whatever premium that I pay, that is going to be my expense. Whatever premium that I pay, that is precisely going to be my expense. I have to expense it out, but my turnover is going to be the premium that I received on the sale of the shares, on the sale of the options. I'm sorry. So that premium is going to be my turnover. One of the member raised the concern that I may be wrong in my numbers, but then one of the member raised the concern that he is dealing into the shares since last 10 years, and then he bought a derivative. Let's say he's dealing into the shares since last 10 years, and now he bought some shares. He bought a call option. Then the call option got exercised, and accordingly he got the delivery. I assume here that the call option is exercised and he got the delivery. It is not the case where the call option got squared off, and then ultimately he bought a share at a less price. So it is I assume that these two are not independent, not executed independently. It is the one and only transaction which he has executed. He bought a call option at 1300 rupees. 200 rupee was the premium that probably he paid for a call option. the the option got exercised, the call option got exercised. So he got the shares at 1300 rupees. Finally, he's selling that shares. He has mentioned in an example at 1 month 1600 rupees. Now what is to be done? Now I take this example a step ahead. He sold these shares within 1 month 1600. He sold these shares within 3 months at 1600, but beyond 1 month. And he sold these shares after 1 year at 1600 rupees. So let us deal with this example covering all the aspects. So number A, when I talk about a speculative transaction, so yes, F&O is going to be a transaction settled without a delivery, and so far as this option is concerned, in that particular case, this is also going to be settled without a delivery, but that falls in the exception and conditions are assuming satisfied. So it would be a business transaction. Now the question precisely is asking about that I am a regularly investing in shares since last 10 years, maybe about different scripts. I got a call up, I applied a call option and got the shares. Now, ideally, this transaction is not settled without delivery. It has been settled with delivery because I have bought a call option for 200 rupees because I was anticipating that the prices would go up. So I bought a call option so that I want to pay a LNT at 1300 rupees. The price might be 1500, 1600. So as my option got exercised, and I bought the share particularly at 1300. So it was set, and now all the expenditure incurred to bring the goods to the present condition and location, they are required to be added. So in my opinion, here my cost of acquisition is 1500 rupees. Now I am selling this transaction at 1600. I might be selling at 1200. This could be within 1 month, this could be within 3 months, but beyond 1 month, this could be within after 1 year. In all these three circumstances, the question is whether 1600 minus 1500 or 1200 minus 1500 would be treated as a business loss or a capital loss. I would come to that this aspect little later. I mean, I'll come in a little while from now. But as of now, I would say this transaction has been settled with the delivery. So in that particular case, it would be a capital gain. Reason why do I say it is a capital gain? Because in the facts it has been clarified that assessee is doing this since last 10 years. I assume that it has been accepted by the department as a capital gain. This might be a one isolated transaction when we would have bought a call option. Now, coming to section 28. Section 28 explanation 2 says that when the transactions are so organized and carried out, meaning thereby the transaction should be carried out in an organized way to constitute a business. I am aware that even a one transaction can be treated as an adventure in the nature of trade, but we have to look into the facts and the circumstances of the case. So even though it is one isolated transaction when he has got a call and this call option is being squared off with a delivery, in that particular case, it would be treated as a capital gain only. Obviously, this call option and originally they are being devised to ensure that one can protect themselves against the price fluctuation. So if there is Mr. X is a genuine trader, or sorry, genuine investor, and he wants to invest, but he anticipates that he would be getting a money maybe at some later point of time, which he wants to invest in a stock market, but his studies suggest that this particular price would go up, and accordingly he buys a call option to ensure that his risk is being hedged or protected. Then once again it falls into that explanation to section 43.5. That is point number A. And point number B, that ultimately it is settling with delivery. In that particular case, certainly one can take a view that it would go to at the cost of acquisition. Number B, somebody may argue that I have bought a call option at 200 rupees for strike price of 1300. The market price of this particular share on a cutoff date turned out to be 1700 rupees. So obviously my premium would have gone up. Let's 200 rupee premium would have been, let's say, 400 rupees for an academic purposes. I had bought a lot of 1000 shares. For ease of understanding, I took a lot of one share. So what did I do is I squared up the transaction by selling that option of 400 rupees at 400. I bought the shares in the market at 1700 rupees, the price at which the current price is going on. So I earned technically a profit of 200 rupees in this entire transaction. So can this be knock off? To my mind, the answer is yes, because what needs to be checked is to be the intention that I am not carrying out a business activity. I am I am a salaried employee. I may be a practicing chartered accountant. I am a salaried employee. I am a businessman. But I am investing into the shares. My intention behind acquisition is to invest. I was not having money right now. I would be getting a money 1 month, 2 months down the line. My study suggests the price may go up, so I buy a call option. Ultimately, I don't only cover up or square up this and put an end to the story. I convert this into the actual delivery, if not directly, then indirectly. But I convert it into the delivery. In that case, net can be taken as a purchase. Yes, I would say this is an arguable matter. One can definitely do this. I couldn't find a reported judgment on this issue, but to my mind, it is certainly an arguable matter and one can definitely do that. So that is with respect to a derivative. Now, that deals, okay, now one more aspect on derivative I would be covering, and then I would be going to delivery. Once I go to the delivery based transaction, I would be dealing with that other two issues of the continuing one, that I sold within 1 month, I sold after 1 month, and I sold after 1 year. So I'll come to that at that point of time. Now, derivative transaction, another issue. Since we agreed that derivative transaction is going to be a business transaction, and I would be carrying out this derivative transaction as a reporting the business income, the question precisely comes here is, will mark to market loss in derivative be allowed? If I refer to ICDS 1, they say that mark to market losses will not be allowed unless otherwise specifically permitted elsewhere. Sir, I guess my point is becoming clear to everybody, sir. ICDS 1 says that mark to market losses will not be allowed unless otherwise specifically permitted. That's what ICDS 1 says. ICDS 2 is an inventory. They say that we will not deal with the securities because we have separate ICDS on this. Correct. Now, ICDS 8 deals with the security, but then when they define security, they say that we will not include derivative. Meaning that thereby, ICDS 1, once again, ICDS 1 says that mark to market losses will be allowed if mark to market losses will not be allowed unless otherwise allowed by some other ICDS. ICDS 2 inventory says that securities we will not cover because we have separate ICDS for that. So I won't be going to ICDS 2. ICDS 8 talks about securities, but then they say that while defining the term security, they say that we will not include derivative here. Meaning thereby ICDS 8 will not cover derivative, so it would fall back to ICDS 2. ICDS 2 says that cost or NRV, whichever is less. Meaning thereby, if I have got a Reliance future, let's say 2,000 rupee Reliance future, and 10 is the quantity, 20,000 rupee price has gone down to 1,900 rupee on 31st March. My position is still there. There would be a loss, and to my mind, it would be allowed. Cost or NRV, whichever is less, so it is otherwise permitted. And minded, guidance note on ICDS issued by ICAI has also taken this similar view that yes, mark to market losses are allowed, and they have gone with they have given a kind of an affirmation to this interpretation only. So following this interpretation, they have taken a call, yes, this mark to market losses are going to be allowed. Now, this all are the derivative issues which I have dealt with. Somebody has raised the question that I bought a premium, and this premium, I paid a premium in the month of March. My contract may be expiring in the month of April. So your premium, whatever premium that you have paid, that is strictly going to be treated as an expenditure. Under ICDS 6 for a foreign transaction, they asked you to amortize the premium and the stuff this given ICDS 6 so by the foreign transactions are concerned. But here in our stock market, whatever premium that you are paying, that is going to be an expense, though the premium is for the month of March, the contract is expiring in March or April, it would be an expenditure. Whatever premium that you receive on your sale, that will only be treated as a turnover. Aapne jo pay kara, that is going to be your expenditure only. So with this, I am done with the derivative part. What we concluded is just quick summary. A chartered accountant in practice can deal with derivative. Ethical standard board has permitted, but it should be on its own and it should not be a commoditative derivative. Number two, derivative transactions are subject to the conditions specified, meaning they are done on the floor of a stock market. Digital contract note is executed, STT is being paid. They are going to be a normal business. They are not going to be a speculative transaction. Intraday trading is always going to be a speculative business. May it be a derivative, a normal business, may it be a speculative business. In both the circumstances, 4480 would be applicable if other conditions are satisfied. For non-corporate assessee, yes, this would be a case. But for a corporate assessee, Delhi High Court is on one side, Calcutta and Bombay High Court are on the other side. Calcutta and Bombay High Court has taken a view that if the company deals into a derivative transaction, it will not fall in the explanation section 1473. It will not be applicable if the conditions of 43.5 is satisfied in that particular case. There will not be a problem. It will not be treated as a speculative transaction. However, the Delhi High Court has taken a contrary view. They said that no, it would the derivative derived the value underlying value from the security. It would be treated as a speculative transaction only. Then after we spoke about how to compute the turnover, you have to take the difference in modulus. So far as delivery based transaction, sale is going to be the turnover. In case of the option, say a premium received on sale of options, that is going to be the turnover. We talked about applicability ICDS 2 versus ICDS 8. So we said that it ultimately falls in ICDS 2. So cost or NRV, whichever is less. That's how we concluded this entire issue. So this we are done with the derivative part. So with your permission, I would like to now move on to the share part. So can I go to the share part? So probably your voice is not coming.
So I think we should take queries on this part. If we are moving to another part, then we can take queries on this part. Mr.
Accepted.
Amarjit Kamboj is there. He's raising his hand. Please, Anshulji, please unmute Mr. Amarjit Kamboj, please.
Jignesh ji, good evening. Sir, my question
Jignesh ji, I
is,
may introduce Mr. Amarjit Kamboj. He is one of the senior member of our profession, and he is he's convener of our legal team.
Okay. Pleasure talking to you, sir.
though I am regularly investing in shares, but I have never been able to understand this word, what this derivative or derivative transaction comprises of. What is the meaning of this word? Speculation, call option, option and forward, all are understandable. But what this, I have many times tried to understand the meaning, what stands for derivatives and what type of transactions are covered in the derivatives. Please explain in a layman's language.
Sure. So
Thank you.
let us understand the forward and future first, just to have the complete clarity. Forward transaction is that, let's say today I'm moving out of the share for a time being, just giving you the layman examples. I am an exporter. I have exported my product and I'm anticipating receipt of 1 lakh US dollar. Today, $1 lakh rate is, let's say $1 rate is 79 rupee. I would be receiving 1 year, one month from the within 1 month down the line. So when it would come with me, I would go and sell that $1 lakh and I would recover my money. But I am a manufacturer, let's say, of the computer. So I'm dealing in the computer. I'm not dealing in the currency. So I want to protect myself against this currency fluctuations. So what I would be doing is I would be going to stock market. I would be going to currency market. I would ask the gentleman that I want to sell my currency 1 year down, 1 month down the line. Current rate is 79. What is going to be a rate? Now, why would I do this? Because I have a fear that the price may fall down and 79 may become 75. Rupee may become a stronger. So
OTP आया होना जी.
So in that case, the money exchanger may tell me that the rate is going to be 77. So I said, okay, 1 month rate, 1 month forward contract rate is going to be 77. So forward market rate is 77. So I am executing a contract at 77. So I am locking it at 77. Now the rate was 82. I don't care. The rate is 80. I don't care. The rate is 70. I don't care. I will be given 77 lakhs of rupees 1 month down the line. So that is what is going to be my forward contract. The question is, then what is a future contract? The difference between forward and future contract is, in case of a forward contract, I am knowing who is my counterpart. So let's say I am doing this transaction with Subhas Jainji. So I am aware that he is my counterpart. There is no curtain between the two parties. In case of a future transaction, there is a curtain between the two parties. When I buy a Reliance future, I don't know who is selling that Reliance future. So that is a future part. But the original intention is to protect from the future loss of hedge the risk. That is the aim behind that. Number two, coming to the call and put option. Coming to call and put option, in case of call and put option, what is going to happen? I want to sell this Reliance future. I want to sell $1 lakh. I don't want to go for a forward. I don't want to go for the forward contract. So I will say that I want to sell 1 lakh. I want to sell my $1 lakh. So I would go to a market and I would say that what would be a rate? They say that the rate is 78. We would give you a right to sell $1 lakh at 78 rupee, but you have to pay me a premium of, let's say, 2 rupees. Pay me a premium of 2 rupees, and we would give you a right to sell at 78. Now, let's say the price 1 month down the line turned out to be 83. Why would I go to you and sell it at 78? I would go to open market, sell it 83. I had bought the 2 rupee premium which I paid, it would lapse because it was a right. Now, let's say the rupee becomes a stronger and the 78 turned out, 79 current price turned out to be 70 rupees. Why would I go to market and sell it at 70 rupees? I'll come to you, I'll say that I had a right to sell and you have an obligation to buy. So I will sell to you at 78 rupees and you would pay me 78 rupees in that particular case. So here I would exercise my premium. So this is what is a put option. When I right to buy, right to sell is a put option. Similarly, right to buy, I might have imported some goods for which I'm supposed to make a payment 1 month down the line. So I might be making $1 lakh 1 month down the line. So I might have to buy those particular foreign currency after 1 month. Today the rate is 79. I doubt that the rate would go up 80, 81, 82. So I may end up making the losses. I'll say 1 month call option I want to buy. Let's say the 1 month call option of 80 rupees available to me, let's say at 1 rupee premium. Now, if the price is 77, I would go and buy at 77. I will let my right to lapse. But if the price is 83, I will ask you that sell to me at 81 because I have a right to buy at 81. That is going to be a call option. So this call, put, forward, future in a layman's term, I tried to clear. Now that comes to a different question. The question is, what is a derivative transaction? So derivative is one which derives its value from underlying security. Here, when I say Reliance Future, so Reliance Future is deriving the value from, there is nothing like Reliance Future. The asset is Reliance share. I hope that is becoming clear. The asset is Reliance share. There is nothing like Reliance Future. But the Reliance Future derives its value from Reliance. So the one which derives the value from the underlying security, that is called derivative. And normally what happens that, we say that IRCTC अभी टाटा पावर अभी 440 रुपए 420 रुपए चल रहा है. टाटा पावर 2 साल में तो या 2 साल में 600 रुपया हो जाएगा, 1600 रुपया हो जाएगा. So this kind of a speculation go. So Tata future 12 महीने का, I mean, let's say 1 month future 480. I want to buy. But then from where that 480 come? Some calculation based on the current market price. So that is what is a derivative transaction. And why this kind of transaction which are settled otherwise than by deal? Because you do not end to take the delivery. You do not aim to take the delivery. So this transaction, that's why law has categorically kept as a speculative transaction. Because you are speculating it. It is your speculation that 1 month down the line, this would be a situation. So you are speculating it. That's why law has said it is a speculative transaction. But the moment this transaction of buying and selling of share, I mean, the share derivative, the moment they are also kept as a speculative, the broker community made a representation that this would have an adverse impact. And ultimately, this exception has come that if you are doing a transaction on the floor of a stock exchange and the digital contract note is available, in that particular case, it will not be treated as a speculative transaction. So that is why this particular commodity, the commodity derivative and share derivatives are being kept outside. And other all exceptions, if you refer, they all are hedging. So if you are doing genuine business hedging, it will not be treated as speculative. Otherwise, it would be a speculative. And that's why intraday is precisely going to be a speculative. Because you are buying one lot, you know that when some tip comes that Reliance, State Bank of India 480, शाम तक तो 485 होने ही वाला है. आप ले लो, कहीं से किसी ने 10,000 शेयर का लॉट लिया, 20% मार्जिन देके और 5 रुपए में बेच दिया. That is then it is a speculative. It is precisely a speculative transaction. I think, sir, I tried to address the query in a comfortable way. Yes.
Sir, can I take up the query now?
Yeah, please, sir.
अभिलाष
Sir,
करेंगे.
सर बड़ी ना एलिमेंट्री क्वेरीज हैं एक्चुअली F&O में आई एम नॉट फेमिलियर वेरी मच बट ड्यूरिंग द प्रोसेस ऑफ फाइलिंग दिस इंडिविजुअल ITRs I came across certain clients जिनकी F&O F&O ट्रांजैक्शंस बहुत हुई हैं. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल F&O की टर्नओवर आपने बताई, सम टोटल ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉसेस प्लस सेल प्रीमियम रिसीव्ड ऑन ऑप्शंस, राइट. इसमें प्लस हो जाएगा इंट्राडे ट्रेडिंग के भी सम टोटल ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉसेस, क्योंकि स्पेकुलेटिव तो है बट है तो बिजनेस ही, राइट. थर्ड, अगर करेंसी फ्यूचर या कमोडिटी फ्यूचर भी करें हैं तो उसमें भी सेम सम टोटल ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉसेस एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यूज को टोटल कर लें, राइट. अब इन चारों का हमने टोटल किया. टोटल करके सर अगर फिगर हमारी 2 करोड़ से नीचे है तो हमारा 4480 एप्लीकेबल हो गया. 6% से नीचे अगर हमारा प्रॉफिट है या लॉस है तो हमारा टैक्स ऑडिट एप्लीकेबल है.
Go on, sir. I'll come to that issue. Right now, I'm purposefully not saying yes or no to that.
ओके. सेकंड, अब जो एनॉमली आती है, अगर 2 से 10 करोड़ है तो कंफर्म्ड ऑडिट नहीं बनता मेरे हम्बल सबमिशन में, क्योंकि 10 करोड़ तक F&O की ट्रांजैक्शन सारी होती हैं थ्रू बैंकिंग चैनल, और 95% अगर हमारी बैंकिंग ट्रांजैक्शन हो रही हैं तो हमारे पर 10 करोड़ की टैक्स ऑडिट की लिमिट एप्लीकेबल है. तो यहाँ पे ये एनॉमली की सर एक तो आपसे डाउट है कि 2 करोड़ तक तो हम 6% वाले रूल देख रहे हैं, और 2 से 10 करोड़ की टर्नओवर है तो हम ब्लैंकेटली हम रिमूवल हो रहे हैं ऑडिट में.
Agree.
सेकंड,
Yeah.
सर कैन यू हियर मी?
Yeah, I can completely.
ओके. सेकंड क्वेरी, अब सर लेट अस सपोज हमारा F&O की टर्नओवर 10 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा है, जो कि काफी केसेस में आ जाती है. उस केस के अंदर हमने जब इसका P&L और बैलेंस शीट बनानी है, P&L के अंदर तो हमारी इनकम के सोर्सेज आ गए. इनकम क्या आई? जो हमारा नेट इनकम हुआ फ्यूचर ऑप्शन से, या नेट लॉस हुआ, और जो हमारा इंट्राडे का भी नेट लॉस हुआ या इनकम हुआ. उसके बाद सर जितने खर्चे होते हैं जैसे STT, टर्नओवर ट्रांजैक्शन चार्ज, IGST, ये सबके हमारे को डिडक्शन अलाउड है इनकम टैक्स में.
Okay.
एक तो सेकंड क्वेरी. थर्ड, अब P&L में भी हमने इनकम रिकॉर्ड कर ली, खर्चे रिकॉर्ड कर लिए. जब अब हमारी बात आई बैलेंस शीट बनाने की, बैलेंस शीट में सर एक तो हम, मेरे हम्बल ओपिनियन में, हम एसेट्स में रखेंगे जो भी ब्रोकर के पास मार्जिन होता है 31/3/22 को, वो हमारा एसेट वैल्यू आ गई. और सेकंड, वो वाला बैंक जिसके थ्रू हमने F&O ट्रांजैक्शन करी है या इंट्राडे करी है उसका बैलेंस. हालांकि वो बैंक अकाउंट कई बार बहुत अलग ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए भी होता है यूज, लेकिन उसको अगर हम नहीं रिकॉर्ड करते वो उससे ज्यादा बड़ी मेरे को नॉन कंप्लायंस नजर आती है. क्योंकि जो बैंक अकाउंट हम यूज कर रहे हैं अपनी F&O डीलिंग्स के लिए, उसका बैलेंस तो 31/3/22 का हमें बैलेंस शीट में तो कम से कम रिफ्लेक्ट होना ही चाहिए. अब सर मैं समराइज करूंगा जो 3 क्वेरीज जो मेरी. एक तो अप टू 2 करोड़ की टर्नओवर में टैक्स ऑडिट का क्या स्टेटस. सेकंड, P&L में जो खर्चे हमने रिकॉर्ड करने हैं वो STT, GST, ट्रांजैक्शन चार्ज जितने भी होते हैं ये सबका डिडक्शन अवेलेबल है.
Yes, available.
थर्ड, जो बैलेंस शीट के अंदर हमें बैंक अकाउंट रिफ्लेक्ट करना है कि नहीं करना. इसके अलावा भी सर आई एम डूइंग इट F&O केसेस ज्यादा हमने नहीं डील करते यहाँ पर, शायद कोई भी जो स्क्रीन पर है. तो आप खुद ही हमें गाइड कर दीजिए कि हमें और क्या क्या सावधानी बरतनी चाहिए.
Let me cover this based on a simple case study so that this would be better. I understood your query completely. Let us first understand, as I mentioned, what first point that you started with the definition of turnover. Let me once again clarify so that you and me should be on the same page. In case of F&O future and intraday, I'm not talking about option. Future and intraday, the turnover is going to be difference in absolute, correct? And in case of option, premium received on sale of options, that is what is going to be my turnover.
ऑप्शंस के केस में सर सम टोटल नहीं आएगा.
ऑप्शन के केस में सम टोटल नहीं आएगा, मैंने इसीलिए मैंने पॉइंट को क्लियर करा. इन केस ऑफ देखिए ऑप्शन में क्या होता है, यू इधर यू बाय अ राइट or you sell the obligation. I mean, you buy the obligation, so you sell that particular right to someone else. So here guidance note on ICI has clarified that in case of an option, premium received on sale of option, that is going to be your turnover. Whatever premium that you receive on a sale of an option, that is going to be a turnover. In case of future, difference comes, that, I mean, absolute difference, that would become your turnover. Let me give you an example of an option. Let's say I started with an example that L&T call option I bought for 200 rupees. And the strike price was 1300 because I was hopeful that the price would go beyond 1300 rupees. That's why I would have bought a call option of 1300 rupees. Correct? Now, let's say on an exercise day or on a given date, the price turned out to be 1600 rupees. So in that case, my right to buy became 200 to, let's say, 400 rupees, because नाउ इट इज नोन एवरीबडी कि 1300 रुपए का मेरे पास कॉल ऑप्शन है और अभी आज ही मार्केट में वो 1700 का शेयर पड़ा हुआ है, तो ऑब्वियसली द प्रीमियम प्राइस वुड गो अप, तो 400, लेट्स से इट बिकम 500 rupees. What I would be doing is I would be selling that call option in the market at 500 rupees. I would be getting 300 rupees. So 500 is going to be my turnover, 300 is going to be my profit. I hope this is clear.
तो आप कह रहे हैं इस केस में हमने प्रॉफिट को नहीं देखना, ऑप्शन के केस में हमने उसकी सेल वैल्यू को, मतलब उसके प्रीमियम को ही हमने टर्नओवर गिनना है.
Premium received on sale of option, on sale of option.
प्रीमियम रिसीव्ड आप 500 को गिन रहे हो कि डिफरेंस 300 को गिन रहे हो?
500 को गिन रहा हूं मैं.
500 ही हमारी सेल प्राइस ही है ऑप्शन की, अगर हम लेमैन भाषा में बोले.
हाँ, अपना सेल प्राइस पकड़ना है, 500 रुपया है.
अब सर यहाँ बड़ी दिक्कत है, अगर आप जीरोधा की ब्रोकर शीट देखो ना, जो सबसे ज्यादा आजकल यूज, उसमें ये चीज तो आइडेंटिफाइबल होती नहीं, उसमें एफ एंड ओ का एक साथ आता है प्रॉफिट और लॉस, और प्रीमियम अमाउंट जो आप कह रहे हो कि सेल की अलग से आइडेंटिफाई करो, वो थोड़ा कठिन है, इसको एक्सट्रैक्ट करना कठिन है. हम बात करने में आई एम एग्रीएबल टू योर लीगल पॉइंट, बट इसको पॉइंट आउट को ज्यादा एग्जीक्यूट करने में आप वहां भी थोड़ी मदद कीजिए प्लीज.
एक काम कर सकते हैं, may not be today, but then you can, I would do for sure, and for the benefit of all the members here, Zerodha का कोई एक स्टेटमेंट आप मेरे साथ शेयर कर दीजिए, maybe on an any desk or something like that. May not be today because otherwise we won't be able to cover the other points. I would for sure let you know how to figure out what is an option and what is to be done on this.
Sir, I think this is a very good choice you have given to us. We would certainly like in the coming week or 5-10 days, we will be doing this sort of workshop only for this purpose only, how to identify different alternatives.
Absolutely. So basically, what is the premium that you have received? What I would also be doing is I would also try and find out some 4-5 statements even from my office which the clients are sharing.
ठीक है सर, मैं आपकी बात समझ गया. अब
अभिलाष जी,
टैक्स ऑडिट की एप्लीकेबिलिटी.
विराज जी आगे चलिए थोड़ा जा. अब बाकी करण दी भी क्वेरी है, मिस्टर करण ने प्लीज अनम्यूट कर दीजिए प्लीज.
जिग्नेश जी, गुड आफ्टरनून सर.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर.
सर, अगर ऑप्शंस में लॉस है, सपोज मेरी ऑप्शन की टर्नओवर 10 लाख रुपीस बनती है और इसमें 1 लाख रुपए का लॉस है मेरा, तो मैं उसको आईटीआर में वो मुझे दिखाने नहीं दे रहा, वो फ्लैग लगा देता है कि इसका ऑडिट रिक्वायर्ड है, क्योंकि उसकी अदर इनकम अबव 10 लाख है, एसएससी की सैलरी इनकम है, तो उस केस में मुझे ऑडिट करना पड़ेगा उसका.
Okay. Question and the previous gentleman, the question which you has raised, they are slightly interconnected, so I'll deal with both the questions simultaneously here. First and foremost thing we are talking about now, section 44AD. 44AD talks about eligible associate doing eligible business. Number 8, so since this business is an eligible business, turnover is below 2 crore rupees, 44AD would be applicable to me. All right. Coming to the next issue. The question here that comes is, I am an eligible associate doing an eligible business. Now, section 40AD subsection 4, section 5 says that if they are being read together, it is my first year of doing this business that I sold 10 lakhs of rupees premium, and I know I might bought at 11 lakhs something, and I ended up making a loss. Here in this particular case, I have made a loss of 1 lakhs of rupees. The question is, am I supposed to get books of accounts audited? The answer is, if this is the first year, then the answer is absolutely no. You are not supposed to get the books of accounts audited. Audit would come when you are opting in, and thereafter you are opting out. So if this is your first year, let's say this is the first year where I have opted, where I have thought of, let's say I tried my hands in F&O transaction, and I ultimately burnt my fingers in F&O transaction. I sold at 10 lakh, I bought at 11 lakh, 1 lakh is a loss. This is the first year. So when this is the first year itself, I have an option whether to go with 4480 or not to go with 4480. So when I decide not to go with 4480, when I decide not to go with 4480, there is no question about it. There is no question about it. Let there be a loss of 1 lakh rupees. Let my salary income be more than 10 lakhs of rupees. Number A. Number B. This is not my first year. I might be doing since this is my second or third year. But in the both past year number 1 and year number 2, I had a turnover, let's say 10 lakhs of rupees, and I have offered income more than 8%. I have straight away prepared my P&L and balance sheet, and my turnover turned out to be, and I reported my income to be 3 lakhs of rupees, 4 lakhs of rupees. Meaning thereby, I have never opted 4480. What does 4480 says? No books of accounts, enter turnover 10 lakh, 8% is income is 80,000 rupees, no advance tax, go ahead. I don't say I have taken this advantage. I have prepared my profit and loss. I prepared my balance sheet, as pointed out by the gentleman previously, that I completely prepared my profit and loss. I completely prepared my balance sheet. I disclosed the bank account which is being used to route this particular transaction. There may be some other transactions, but then this have to be routed as a other transaction, may be routed through a capital account. Kind of that I have salary income and same account is being used. So my P&L credit in my books, P&L credit would have salary income of 10 lakhs of rupees, and it would have, let's say, my turnover of future option 11 lakhs of rupees, turnover of 10 lakhs of rupees in future option purchase 11 lakh, minus 1 lakh is my loss, and so net income 9 lakh. Kind of that is going to be my profit and loss account that would be reflected. I prepared my complete profit and loss account. I completely prepared my profit and loss account. I started net profit as per profit and loss account 9 lakhs of rupees. Then I said that income computed separately, 10 lakh salary. I took it to the salary head, 10 lakhs. So this got matched, query eliminated. Now turned out to be a loss of 1 lakhs of rupees, let's say, and I moved ahead that way. In the past also, I never opted 4480. So in the current year also, 4480 is not applicable. But in the past, I would opted for 4480. I said my turnover is 10 lakhs. And my income 8% is 80,000 rupees. I'm offering 80,000 rupees, though I had a loss or whatever may be the situation, I'm paying 8%. Now if I want to move out, yes, then 4480 would be applicable, and then books of accounts are required to be audited. Now coming to the query which has been currently before me, 10 lakh is my option sale, 11 lakh is premium. So mind it, my turnover is 10 lakh. My turnover here is 10 lakh. Now what does section 44AA says? Section 44AA says maintenance of books of accounts is mandatory. Maintenance of books of account is mandatory in case of individual and HUF if turnover includes a particular limit or a profit includes a particular limit. If profit exceeds a particular limit. So if it exceeds that limit, the maintenance of books of account is going to be mandatory. You have to maintain books of accounts. You have to fill in the particular detail, and then you have to start with your ITR. Then you will surely not face this query.
So but normal जो employee है वो तो books maintain करेगा ही नहीं सर.
देखिए
अब
नॉर्मल
इस केस में
या नॉर्मल एम्प्लॉय जो है, जो सैलरीड एम्प्लॉय है, सैलरी इनकम के लिए उसको बुक्स मेंटेन नहीं करने हैं. लेकिन जो F&O ट्रांजैक्शन उसने करे हुए हैं, लेट मी चेक 44AA की लिमिट आई गेस 25 lakhs of rupees है जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. आपके केस में 10 लाख रुपए आप बता रहे हो. एक मिनट, 44AA का लिमिट इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन इट इज 25 lakhs of rupees. जस्ट गिव मी अ मिनट.
हाँ जी 10 लाख थी, 25 लाख थी.
For individual HUF it is 25 lakhs rupees if I am not mistaken.
हाँ जी.
I have a query.
Yeah, so let me conclude this first if you permit me.
Mr. Kern, I think Mr. Kern has a query. Please, Mr. Kern, please ask me.
Yes, sir. I want to ask, as an option trader, I only do the business of option. While preparing the P&L, can I claim the expenses like interest on loan or other electricity expense, office expense? Can this be claimed to adjust profit?
I can't say to adjust the profit. Something is I won't be able to answer on that. But then I would surely say if they are incurred for the purpose of business and profession, certainly you are sitting in an office, electricity of that office would be allowed. You have borrowed money for the purpose of dealing into stock market. You have taken a like Bajaj FinService providing a loan of 35 lakhs of rupees, kind of that to a professional. Kind of a loan has been taken which is being used over there only. Interest for sure allowed. Staff salary for sure allowed. Bank charges for sure allowed. STT brokerage for sure allowed. All those expenditure are going to be allowed. There is no problem to it.
Mr. Arun,
Sir, I have one small basic query.
Sir, Arun Gupta is our past president.
Sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir, Sir, I have a small basic query. Suppose a person is doing only future and option business. He's a salaried person and he's not having any other business income. And he incurs a loss of, say, rupees 1 lakh in his option trading or future trading. And he becomes auditable, suppose. He's having turnover of more than 1 crore.
From other
And
business.
no, from this future and option business only. He's having turnover of more than 1 crore, and he has incurred a loss of 1 lakh or 2 lakh, or he has even if he has earned some profit. Then how do we reflect it in profit and loss account? What would be our turnover? What would be our purchases? Like we have incurred a loss of rupees 1 lakh. Now we have to audit the accounts. How do we prepare the profit and loss account? What would be our turnover for reflecting in profit and loss account, like if when we enter our ITR sales and purchases figures? This is a small basic query that I want to.
I understood completely. So, first of all, when you are saying that your turnover exceeds 25 lakhs of rupees, the maintenance of books of accounts would be mandatory unless otherwise you go for 4480.
Okay.
If you are going for 4480, books of accounts is not mandatory. If
No,
you are not,
4480 we are not going.
so we are not going for 4480, so we have to maintain the books of accounts.
Right.
The question now comes is how to maintain the books of accounts and what is the turnover.
Mm.
Now appreciate a point. When I say my turnover is 25 lakhs of rupees, which is the difference,
Which is difference, yes. Yeah.
right? And that you will be
Right.
working out, let's say in an Excel or based on an Excel copy of the statement which you are receiving.
Right.
So this turnover is only just to determine where you are lending. But then this number,
Absolutely.
this number per se will never be appearing anywhere in your profit and loss account.
Right, absolutely. Then like we have incurred the loss of rupees 1 lakh. Now we have to prepare a balance sheet and profit and loss because we are auditing the accounts. Then how do we reflect it? What should be writing the turnover? What should be writing the purchases to determine the net loss of 1 lakh?
Right. So basically in that, but see, you cannot, number A, you cannot, let's say I sold Reliance Future for 4 lakh and I bought Reliance Future at 3 lakhs of rupees. So there is a profit of 1 lakhs of rupees. I cannot say sale of Reliance Future 4 lakh and purchase of Reliance Future 3 lakh and that's how 1 lakh came. This is not a correct presentation, number A.
Right.
This cannot be done.
Right.
Otherwise my turnover would go into the crores of rupees.
Right, absolutely.
So this cannot be done.
Right.
What we do in our office here is that transaction has got, assessee has got multiple transactions for sale, multiple transactions for profit. He has got some transactions for losses as well.
Right.
So let's say he has got a profit of 15 lakhs of rupees. He has got losses wala transaction, let's say 17 lakhs of rupees.
Okay, fine.
So we say that profit 15 lakh ka transaction hai, so that profit would anyway come into my profit and loss account. Profit from the derivative business 15 lakhs.
Okay.
Losses from the derivative business 17 lakhs, that would come on the P&L debit side.
Okay.
Right. So ultimately my turnover this way matches 32 lakhs of rupees.
Right.
So now when I say my turnover 32 lakhs of rupees, because when a client comes with a P&L and if I would ask my client to come up with the tally data.
Right.
Because client will have to anyway maintain tally data for income tax. आप बनाओ ना बनाओ अलग मुद्दा है. वो लेकर आएगा और मुझे याद कैसे रहेगा कि मैं 32 lakhs कहां से लाया था. तो I would say you make a one ledger for profit, one ledger for losses. The profit wala ledger would come on the income side, losses wala ledger on the expenditure side. Total 17 and 15, 32 lakhs of rupees. That is going to be my turnover. If I go for 4480, then I will take turnover 32 lakhs from there only. Now let's say he has reflected a profit of, let's say, 3 lakhs of rupees. Now 30 lakhs, 80%, let's say 15, 30 lakhs, 88% or 6% turned out to be 1,80,000 rupees. He has reflected a profit of 3 lakhs of rupees. So I say that my turnover is 30 lakhs, actual profit 3 lakh, deemed profit is 1,80,000 rupees. So my income is 3 lakh, my maintenance if I go for 4480. If I don't go for 4480, if I maintain books of accounts, then I say that my profit from future business, profit from F&O business, that is going to be 17 lakh or 15 lakhs. Losses from future business, that is going to be a 15 lakhs. Then my other expenditure, my net profit would come. So even in assessment proceedings, whenever there comes a query, it would be easy for me to take out those transactions from the tally itself and to give a total to the AO.
It means in the turnover side, in the credit side, we should show the profit from the future options and future and options, and in the debit side, we should show the loss, and that figure would come profit or loss.
In future, we are talking about only future.
Yeah.
In case of option, तो sale and purchase दोनों रहेंगे आपके.
In options, how should we show?
In option, you are selling a premium and you are buying a premium.
Right.
There, the turnover is amount received on sale of the premium.
Right.
So let's say I bought Reliance, I bought a L&T future, I bought a L&T call option at 200 rupees. I sold it at 600 rupees. So my sale would be 600, purchase is going to be 200. Because my turnover is now 600 plus 32 lakhs of rupees.
Actually, this data does not come to us now. That is the difficulty in options. Like Abhilash says, that this data does not come to us.
The concern with respect to option, I would figure out some client where there is some data. Let me take out eliminate the name of the client. We will do this workout and we'll let us know that how to carry out, because this is what is to be done. Now you have a valid execution point because you are, end of the day, you are executing it. So you have a valid point that Zerodha is not giving, or 5paisa is not giving, or Nirmal Bang is not giving, or ICICI Direct is not giving. You have a valid point. I promise you, in the next we'll be doing. नहीं होगा तो मैं खुद एक transaction F&O का करूँगा. Let me see how my ICICI Direct is reflecting to me, and then we'll discuss that with you.
So one last point. Actually, we have heard till now that in options,
I think some sort of guidance note on this is a need of the hour. So many queries relating to accounting entries is coming up.
Guidance note institute का बना हुआ है, but they talk about making entries for mark to market losses and mark to market profits.
But that is a different.
But that is, yes, this guidance note is available. They say that आपने Reliance future 1000 रुपए का लिया था, then your आज के शाम का प्राइस 1200 रुपए हो गया, तो अब 200 रुपए का प्रॉफिट बुक करो, फिर 1300 रुपए हो गया तो 100 रुपए का प्रॉफिट बुक करो, फिर 1000 रुपए हो गया तो 300 रुपए का लॉस बुक करो.
So actually, one last thing. Till now in options, we have heard that we have for calculating turnover, we have to see the sale premium of the options and absolute value of the profit and loss. That is the turnover for calculating to see whether it is auditable or not.
Yes, correct.
बट सर वो सैलरी वाले केस में मैं 10 लाख जो टर्नओवर है ऑप्शंस की, तो उसका 8% 6% भी ले सकता हूँ सीधा 44AD क्लेम करने के लिए मैं.
सर क्वेश्चन इफ यू डोंट माइंड एक बार रिपीट कर लेंगे सो दैट आई.
अगर 10 लाख का हमारा टर्नओवर था ऑप्शंस में और 1 लाख का लॉस था, और एसएससी की अदर इनकम 10 लाख से ज्यादा है.
अदर इनकम मतलब सैलरी इनकम है आपकी.
हाँ जी.
ओके, तो अब पहला सैलरी इनकम है 10 लाख रुपए, आपने बता दिया, आपने बताया आपका ऑप्शन का टर्नओवर 10 लाख रुपए 10 लाख 25 लाख से कम है, इसलिए आपको बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मेंटेन करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है.
ठीक है.
So right, so now in your return there are two columns. One is when books of accounts not maintained.
हाँ जी.
अगर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स नॉट मेंटेन में अगर आप जाके -80,000 रुपीज आप लिखेंगे, वहां पर आपका सिस्टम आपको फ्लैग करेगा, ऑडिट करना जरूरी है, ये आईटीआर में कैच दिया हुआ, इस तरह से आपका ये प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है.
हाँ जी बिल्कुल.
राइट, तो आपको करना ये है, आपको जाना है नेट. देखो, अब फ्रेंकली स्पीकिंग आई मे बी पार्डन फॉर यूजिंग दिस लैंग्वेज, दिस इज टेक्निकली समथिंग रॉन्ग, but then once again to sort this out, kind of a jugaad kind of a thing is to be done. So what we do is we go to the in the software, we go to the profit and loss account. Profit and loss account, my net loss is 80,000 rupees. Then I say that my income considered separately 80,000 rupees. 80,000 rupees turned out to be zero, and then I go to the books of accounts, business not maintained, and then I say that minus 80,000 rupees. I do it this way, and then this return gets processed under 143(1).
This is practical solution.
Sorry?
This is practical solution.
This is practical.
बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट नॉन मेंटेन करके वहां -80,000 लिख दें वहां पे.
एक्चुअली बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स आइडियली आपके पास दो जगह पर है. एक जगह है बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स नॉट मेंटेन एंड बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट और 44AD वाला पोर्शन. करेक्ट. अगर आप 44AD में तो आप जान नहीं रहे हो, क्योंकि वहां पर तो आपको मैंडेटरी 80,000 रुपए इनकम दिखाना पड़ेगा, वो आपको दिखाना नहीं है, आपको तो 1 लाख लॉस बताना है.
हाँ जी.
और मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि आपका पहला साल ही है ये आपका, तो आपको 44AD ऑप्ट भी नहीं करना है.
ठीक है.
So you don't want to opt 44AD. You don't want to maintain books of account as well, because you are falling in that limit and you are eligible to do that. So ideally you should be going, when books of accounts not maintained, 10 lakh profit loss minus 80,000 rupees matter, and system should ideally accept, because in case of individual HUF the limit for turnover is 25 lakhs of rupees and limit profit is 2,50,000 rupees. So ideally system should accept, but now let's say system is not accepting it as you are pointing it out. So in that case what you can do is go to your regular profit and loss account, and regular profit and loss account, the system takes entry from the net profit in your software.
हाँ जी.
So you go to the net profit, straight away write minus 80,000 rupees. So you minus 80,000 rupees. The moment you write minus 80,000 rupees, that 80,000 rupees will be picked up over there. Now you can say minus income considered separately 80,000 rupees. It would turn out to be zero. then go to the other income where books of accounts not maintained, and then mention minus 80,000 rupees as a loss. Then there will not be a problem. I had this issue in case of a doctor. He is a salaried employee having losses in stock market. He was also in practice having some 1 lakh 2 lakh rupee practice income. So here we did this way. Originally we जो मैंने theory आपको बताया उसी तरह से करा, written process हुआ, demand आ गया. We did it this जुगाड़ way. System is processing return since last 2 years completely.
Thank you, sir.
सर चलो इन केस में तो लॉस है, कई कई केसेस में सैलरीड एम्प्लॉयज ही 25-25 करोड़ की एफ एंड टर्नओवर कर देते हैं, और वो टर्नओवर सिर्फ 25 करोड़ बोलने को है, प्रॉफिट एलिमेंट उसमें कितना ही होता है आप भी जानते हैं। बुक्स तो ये कोई मेंटेन नहीं करते, आप भी समझते हैं। सैलरीड पीपल हैं, दे यूज देयर बैंक अकाउंट्स, जीरोधा के लेजर दे देंगे, ट्रांजैक्शन लेजर दे देंगे।
Recorded.
सॉरी,
I understand this is not being recorded.
Recorded. This is being recorded.
Sorry?
This is being recorded.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so sir, what I mean to say is salaried people are not aware of the books maintenance part, and what I believe, even if they are aware, they are not maintaining those. Now, how to handle the situation as of now? They are coming. The only they have is the bank account in which the debits and credits are there. For the records, we ask them, they will give their the ledger accounts or FAS ledger account or ICSA, they'll give the ledger accounts. So there is no tally busy or anything else. How do we handle such situation when we have to report that books of accounts have been maintained, and can we take the plea that they have been maintained in this case because the record is there, proper record is there?
So yes, see, basically one such kind of an issue came up before the tribunal, and where tribunal has taken a view that there cannot be a penalty for not maintenance of books of accounts on the ground that AO has got sufficient records available with him to identify and ascertain the correct amount of profit. So since the records were available, no penalty can be maintained. No penalty is leviable for not maintenance of books of accounts. That is one kind of a case came up at least before the Ahmedabad ITT, which I had witnessed. Now coming to the query which you are raising here, if as you pointed out, 25 crore is just the exposure amount. The turnover
सम है प्रॉफिट्स एंड लॉसेस का सम टोटल है 25 करोड़। तो
अच्छा, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉसेस, ये तो 25 करोड़ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉसेस का सम टोटल है। एनीवे इट इज मोर देन 10 करोड़ रुपीस। 44 एबी के हिसाब से ऑडिट मैंडेटरी हो गया, तो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मेंटेन भी करना पड़ेगा, ऑडिट भी करना पड़ेगा।
मैं तो सर कह ही रहा हूँ ऑडिट है, मैंने तो
विलास जी आपकी जो क्वेरी है ना कि हम करें कैसे, क्या से करें, ये हफ्ते 10 दिन बाद दोबारा जब करेंगे हम कर लेंगे, लेकिन जो आपकी प्रॉब्लम है ना वो प्रॉब्लम है, प्रॉब्लम को तो उस प्रॉब्लम को हल कैसे करना है, ये हम जुगाड़ पूछ रहे हैं। जुगाड़ तो मुझे लगता है आई थिंक
आप बोल सकते हैं सर, हमें तो रिकॉर्डिंग कह देंगे, रिकॉर्ड हो रही है, हम नहीं बोलेंगे।
नहीं जुगाड़ ही तो होगा सर। ये जब सैलरीड वाला बंदा आता है 2 करोड़ की 5 करोड़ की ट्रांजैक्शन करके, तो वो तो फेंक देता, अपने पास फीस भी नहीं देता और प्रॉफिट लॉस को भी बनाओ उसका। मैं आपसे सहमत हूँ। आप सर ये जो है ना इसकी कोई प्रेजेंटेशन वर्कशॉप टाइप जो क्वेरीज आपको समझ लग गई, काफी सारी अकाउंटिंग से रिलेटेड है, प्राइमरी अकाउंटिंग से रिलेटेड है सारी ये क्वेरीज, टैक्सेशन से रिलेटेड नहीं है। हम इसके लिए एक वर्कशॉप कर लेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा अगर आप हमें ये बेनिफिट दे दें वर्कशॉप का।
100% sir, it would be a pleasure, क्योंकि जो आपका ही कंसर्न है सर, क्योंकि नाउ दिस सीजन ऑफ रिटर्न्स एंड टैक्स ऑडिट इज एनीवे गोइंग ऑन,
क्योंकि जितनी भी क्वेरीज आ रही हैं अभी सारी इस अकाउंटिंग एंगल से आ रही हैं।
नहीं एग्री, तो ये आपके सारी के सारे क्वेरीज दे ऑल आर वेरी वाइटल एंड वेरी वेल टेकन पॉइंट्स।
जब ये क्वेरीज अगर सॉल्व हो जाएंगी तो टैक्सेशन एंगल अपने आप क्लियर हो जाएगा,
अपने आप क्लियर हो जाएगा। सो आई एम कंप्लीटली विद यू। सो व्हेनेवर you want in the next week, we can do it in the next week or next to next week, we can do this। I would figure out जो स्टेटमेंट मेरे पास अवेलेबल है, I will bring my statement। so आपके पास अगर कोई स्टेटमेंट ज़रूरत वगैरह अवेलेबल है, you can share those statements to me, so we can, because if the statements are available beforehand, we can do this, that's not a problem।
31 जुलाई को जो सैलरी वाली रिटर्न सारी 31 जुलाई से तक जानी है, इट मींस हमें अर्ली करने की जरूरत पड़ेगी कमिंग वीक में ही। कमिंग वीक में I will take a date from you and will share with the members। I think that will serve the purpose। I think we should
perfect। I am with you sir।
Please sir, please continue।
Right, so now here 20, so when I say 25 crore, yes, यहाँ पर तो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मैंडेटरी है, 44 ABA में ऑडिट करना है। So far as 10 लाख रुपए वाला पॉइंट है, we discuss what is to be done there। Now coming to the issue कि 44 AD में ऑडिट कब नहीं आएगा, as I mentioned, अगर आप एलिजिबल असेसी नहीं हो या आप एलिजिबल बिजनेस नहीं कर रहे हो, अगर आपका कमीशन इनकम है 1 रुपए का भी, 1 रुपए is too less, you can have 100 रुपए, 1000 रुपए, 1 लाख रुपए का कमीशन इनकम है, या 44 वाले प्रोफेशन है, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस यू आर नॉट एन एलिजिबल असेसी, आपको बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मेंटेन, तो इन दैट केस 44 AD आपको एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा, ऑडिट करने की आपको जरूरत वहां पर नहीं पड़ने वाली. So I guess with this I am dealt with the derivative part. अगर derivative पर से query नहीं है, I can start with the share part.
Sir, I think which will move forward.
Sure. So let us now deal with the share part. Now the first question that comes here is that we have left one question open. Oh, 1300, 200 rupees I sold within 1 month, post 1 month, after 1 year, and then after 1 year. The question is whether income from sale of the shares is to be treated as from PGBP or it has to be treated from a capital gain. So that is the first and the foremost controversy that comes to the mind. Now for that we have one circular from the department and we have one instruction from the department. So we have we have got circular number 6 by 2016 and we have got instruction number 2 by 2016. They say that so far as dealing in the listed shares are concerned, अगर 1 साल से ज्यादा का पीरियड है, if you are buying today, selling after 1 year in case of listed shares, sorry, if you are dealing in listed shares, I'm sorry, if you are dealing in listed shares, irrespective of your period, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, irrespective of the period, if you are offering it as business income, we will not raise any question. In this CBDT, in its circular and the instruction, circular number 6 by 2016 and instruction number 2 by 2016, they have said that irrespective of the period of holding, अगर आप ये business income offer कर रहे हैं, we have no problems, we will accept it, we will not raise any question, we will not disturb you for that. But if the holding is more than 1 year and you are offering for long-term capital gain, then also we are not going to disturb you. But the condition attached to this is you have to consistently offer the long-term capital gain. Consistently long-term capital gain is required to be offered to the tax. I mean, you to offer this particular income from the sale of the security long term as a continuous long term capital gain. That is what is the condition. फिर आप बोलोगे नेक्स्ट ईयर में नहीं, अब मैं बिजनेस इनकम बंद दूंगा, वो नहीं चलेगा. एक बार लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन बताए, हर बार लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन बताए. अच्छा, अब कोई पूछेगा अगर भाई ये 12 महीने से अंदर है तो क्या? 12 महीने से अगर अंदर है, in that case the circular is silent, meaning thereby now they will look into the multiplicity of the transaction, magnitude of the transaction, whether it is used from borrowed money or for owned money, what is the intention at the time of purchase, how it has been presented in the books of accounts. So keeping all those factors, a call would be taken whether it is a business income or a capital gain. Now in line of this, okay, so far as unlisted shares are concerned, it has been made very clear unlisted shares have no market, so nobody buys unlisted share with the intention to trade. When nobody is buying unlisted share with an intention to trade, whatever income that comes, that particular income would always be going to be a capital gain only. It cannot be falling in the head of PGBP. Now in light of this particular discussion, let us deal with the question which we had. I sold the share 1600, my cost was 1500. If I did it in a period of 1 month time, some of the tribunals have taken a view, Rajasthan tribunal, Ahmedabad tribunal, some other tribunals have also taken a view that if we are dealing in 1 month and there are multiple transactions, there is a good number of magnitude of transaction, multiplicity of transactions there, and you are settling within 1 month, we would say it is going to be a business income. 1 month to 1 year, we will say it is a short-term capital gain. And 1 year above, it will be a long-term capital gain. 1 year above, anyway, CPDD has said long-term capital gain, there is no problem. Up to 1 month, the tribunals have in the past taken a view that it would be treated as a business income. Assuming there is assuming multiplicity of the transaction, magnitude of the transaction, they would take a view that it is going to be a short-term, it would be a business income. From 1 year to 1 month, 1 month to 1 year, it would be treated as if it is your short-term capital gain. So that's how this earlier example can be dealt with. That's why I said that 1300, 1600 within 1 month. If the multiplicity is high, magnitude is on a higher side, if you have used the borrowed money, for in that case, for entire year, a view can be taken this 300 rupees is going to be a business income and it is not going to be a capital gain. Otherwise, if the shares are bought with an intention to hold for a longer duration, with an intention to earn dividend income, not with an intention to sell in an immediate future, if they are represented in the balance sheet as capital investment and not a stock in trade, no borrowed money has been used. If that be the situation, in that case, in that particular situation, whatever the 300 rupee loss or profit that you have, it is going to be a short-term capital gain. After 1 year, it is always going to be a long-term capital gain. So the share would be a business or a loss that is covered. Another issue that comes is, what about a portfolio management scheme? Let me first deal with our Ahmedabad tribunal has taken a call that it is going to be a business income, but then this is Ahmedabad tribunal's call. Nothing has to be bothered. Your Delhi ITAT and the Amritsar ITAT has taken a view that it is going to be, because this portfolio management is being done for the purpose of maximizing the wealth. And when it is being done for the purpose of maximization of the wealth, it is always going to be a capital gain transaction. It falls in the chapter of capital gain, and it does not fall in the chapter of PGBP. It would be a capital gain transaction. That is what a view has been taken by other ITATs. Now, with this, I'm going to okay. Now, when I talk about business income per se, now please make it a point when I say business income. In case of my business income, how to compute the income? Now, here I have got ICDS 8. They say that you have to put all shares, listed shares, in one basket. So let's say my all listed shares in the one basket turned out to be 10,000 is the cost. Let's say for all Reliance, Wipro, IRCTC, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, let's say my cost is 1 lakh for all the shares. My market value put together for all shares turned out to be 80,000. So 1 lakh versus 80,000. Now here I will be allowed mark to market loss of only 20,000 rupees, as against in the past where I used to say I have got a share A, cost 100, market value 70. 170, whichever is less, 70. Share B, cost 100, market value 200. 100, 200, whichever is less, 100. So now I would say my inventory is only 170 rupees, not 200 rupees. But here, as per ICDS, I would say my inventory is 100 cost, market value 270, so 270. So 200 versus 270, my cost is my inventory is going to be 200, and it is not going to be 270. That is what ICDS 8 has prescribed, that you are not supposed to compare one-on-one. You have to put all listed securities, listed shares into one basket, and that's how you have to make a comparison that's how you are supposed to make the comparison to compare the cost versus your cost of, let's say, securities versus the market value, and then you can go and calculate your cost and NRV, whichever is less. Apple to Apple, one-to-one comparison is not to be, which we used to do in our AS 13, accounting standard 13, which talks about one-to-one. That one-to-one comparison is nahi karna hai. यहाँ पे cost to cost पूरा comparison करना है. So I hope this is getting clear. Now I am entering into the capital gain chapter so far as share transactions are concerned. Now, the first issue that in the capital gain chapter that comes up for a consideration here is, what is the period of holding? So normally we are aware that capital asset means property of any kind held by an assessee, whether connected with the business profession or not, and shares held by FII, and excludes stock in trade, personal movable effects, barring certain assets, rural agricultural land, and specified bonds. So this is what is the definition of a capital asset. Meaning thereby a share is certainly a capital asset. Now, what is my period of holding? What is the capital gain? A short-term capital gain is a gain arising on a transfer of a short-term capital asset. Long-term capital gain is a gain arising on a transfer of a long-term capital asset. So what do I mean by a short-term capital asset? Short-term capital asset is an asset which is held for a period of not less than 36 months. Meaning thereby, if a period is, long-term capital asset is an asset which is held for a period of not less than 36 months. Short-term capital asset is an asset which is being held for a period of not less period of 36 months or less. Exact 36 month is going to be a short-term capital asset. Now, in some of the exceptions, for listed shares and securities, the period is 12 months. Unlisted shares, the period is going to be 24 months. So if the shares are held, listed shares are held exactly for 12 months, it is going to be a short-term capital asset. If it is held for 12 months and 1 day plus, it is going to be a long-term capital asset. Issue came before us that I bought a share, let's say on 9th of July 2022, and I sell those shares on, let's say, 8th of July 23. Then it is exact 1 year. So it is a short-term capital asset. I bought a share on 9th of July 22. I sold the shares on 9th of July 23. 1 year plus 1 day. The question is, whether this 9th July 23 is to be counted or not, Delhi High Court in the case of Bharti Ramola Gupta has taken a view. Both the day of purchase and date of sale are to be counted. Even a fraction of the day that needs to be counted. So I sold it on 9 July. So I hold it. So I hold it for more than 12 months. It is going to be a long-term capital asset. That is first. Now, while computing this long-term capital, the period of holding, certain periods are to be excluded, or certain period is to be included. I'm sorry. If it is acquired by way of gift, will, or inheritance, the period of the previous owner is required to be included. Now, so far as I acquired an asset by way of a will, no problems. My father, I inherited the shares from my father, no problems. Cost of acquisition of my father would be there. Period of holding of my father would be there. So there is no problem. So far as a gift is concerned, if the gift is coming from a relative, I have no problem. Shares are given to me as a gift from a relative. Shares are coming to me as a gift. If they are coming to me as a gift, section 56 to 10, gift from a relative, it is exempt in my hands. No problems. Period of holding of my relative, cost of acquisition of my relative, they both is to be counted. So far, so good. But if the shares are coming to me as a gift from an unrelated party, then section 56 to 10 would come into the place, and in that particular case 56 to 10 would come into the place, and in that particular circumstances gift from an unrelated party would become taxable to me. If it exceeds the amount of that 50,000 rupees, then it is going to be taxable to me. Now when it is taxable to me, the fair market value on the date of the gift would be taxable to me. That fair market value would become a cost for me, and my period of holding now will be counted from the date on which I have received the gift. It will not relate back to the previous owner. That is what is to be checked. Mind it, the precise issue that comes here is, so that point is to be dealt. Now let me take you to straight away directly to section 50CA, which says that we are aware we have section 50C. What does it talk about? Section 50C that if I sell a land or capital asset being a land or building at a price less than circle rate, less than the guidance value, or less than a jantri value, or less than the value determined by Tehsildar, whatever you made up, then the value as determined by Tehsildar, jantri value, circle rate, guidance note, guidance value, that will be deemed to be a full value of consideration. Of course, there are 10% and all those the exceptions are given. Similarly, section 50CA says that whenever there is a sale of a shares of an unlisted company, or whenever there is a sale of a shares of a closely held company, and if the consideration accruing or arising on account of the shares of those shares is less than the value as determined under rule 11UA, in that particular case, that value arrived at under rule 11UA, that will be deemed to be the full value of consideration. Now the question is how to determine that particular value. So we have to determine that particular value as per rule 11UA. They have given two methods. Either I can go ahead with a book value, assets minus liability, or I can go at another method where I am going to go with a discounted cash flow method. If I go ahead with the discounted cash flow method, in that particular case, it has to be certified by a merchant banker. If I go with section 56 to 7, if I go with the rule 11UA, and as per that particular rule, the first part, in that case, the net asset method if I'm using, in that particular case, I am not going to go to a value will be determined by a chartered accountant, but the chartered accountant certificate is not required, which they are saying that take all assets. If you are immovable property, take the value of take the jantri value of the immovable property. If you have got investment, take the book value. Cash balance, data, take that value. Balance, bank balance, take that value. Minus creditors, minus liability. Jewelry, take the value as per the archaeological collection. Take the value as per the valuation certificate. Make that assets total minus liability. Whatever the value comes, that is going to be a fair value. If you are making valuation is in accordance with that rule, chartered accountant certificate is not needed. अब valuation date कौन सी होनी चाहिए? Valuation date has to be the date of the transfer. Meaning thereby, if in case of an unlisted shares, an unlisted company, you are selling the shares, let's say on today is 9th of July, you are selling shares on 9th July. We need to have audited balance sheet up to 9th of July. This is what is needed because they say valuation is to be done as per the rule 11UA. 11UA describes about the valuation rules. And here they talk about valuation date. Valuation date means the date on which the transfer took place, and balance sheet is required to be drawn up to the valuation date. One may argue that it is practically impossible that practically impossible. I agree it is practically difficult, but then this is what the rule and this is what is supposed to be done. Of course, ITATs have taken a view that if you don't have a balance sheet available on the date of the transfer, let's say 9th of July is today's date, and you don't have a date of 9th of July, absolutely no problem. You can take the latest available balance sheet, which is 31st of March. So the tribunals have taken a lenient view so far, but I would go by the words of the law, and they say that we need to have the balance sheet as on the date of audit. So that is what what is being prescribed by section 50CA. Now, coming to the issue, coming to the next issue, how to compute the capital gain. The general rule for computation of the capital gain is full value of consideration minus cost of acquisition. That would give me my capital gain. Now, we have got proviso to that. The second proviso talks about indexation. Third proviso says that the benefit of indexation will not be available in case of the person falling in the first proviso. First proviso says that if you are a non-resident buying shares and debentures of an Indian company, then whatever profit that comes, that is required to be converted into the foreign currency by applying the TT average of the TT buying and TT selling rate. Fourth and important proviso says that STT will not be allowed as deduction. STT will not be allowed as deduction. Sale, if there is an income from the sale of the shares, if you are offering under that capital gain, STT will not be allowed as deduction. If you are offering under PGBP, STT will be allowed as deduction. But under that capital gain, STT will not be allowed as deduction. So now I have calculated my capital gain. Whatever my capital gain comes, this capital gain is eligible for exemption under section 54F. Assuming I satisfy the other condition of 54F, that I don't have any other house other than the one which I am buying for the purpose of 51F, 54F, and I do the construction in the time limits prescribed, so I can claim the benefit of section 54F. After doing this, whatever surplus is available to me, after doing this adjustment, whatever surplus is available to me, now that capital gain is to be routed through 111 and is to be taxed under 112A and 112. Now, if it is a long-term capital gain, now let us deal with those capital gain one by one. Now, this capital gain can be taxed either under 112 if it is a long-term capital gain. If it is a short-term capital gain, it is going to be taxed under 112A. Sorry, 111A. Now, if I go to section 112 per se, first of all, general rule is long-term capital gain is going to be taxed at the rate of 20%. Now, what happens that either I sell a listed share or I sell an unlisted share. Let us wait for a minute. I sell a share which is listed or unlisted. Let me say that I am selling a listed shares. Now, these shares I might be selling on a stock exchange or I may be selling off market. If I sell those shares off market, then 112A will not be applicable to me. 112A will be applicable to me only if the shares are, if there are equity shares or units of an equity oriented mutual fund sold through a stock market, stock exchange, and 3, STT has been paid both at the time of purchase and at the time of sale. If all these 3 conditions are satisfied, then only 112A would be applicable. Otherwise, 112. Meaning thereby, if I am selling equity shares on stock market, but I don't pay STT, I sell it off market, so I don't pay STT. But they are listed shares. I'm selling off market. I'm selling my Reliance shares to Subhash Jain sir right now. So they are off market transaction. Here 112 would come into the picture. They say that in this case, if you are selling a listed shares off market, in this case, 2 options are available. You claim the indexation and pay tax at the rate of 20%, or don't claim indexation and pay tax at the rate of 10%. Now, if you sell it on the floor of the exchange, you have paid STT both at the time of purchase and sale. It is a long-term capital asset. Then gain would be a long-term capital gain. It would be covered by under section 112A. And they say that 1 lakh rupee is going to be an exemption. So let's say the profit is 6 lakhs. 1 lakh is exemption. And on 5 lakhs, one has to pay tax. Please note that in case of 112 and 111A and 112A, in all these 3 circumstances, this profit is not eligible for claiming deduction under chapter 6A. But so far as rebate under section 87A is concerned, It is not available under 112A only. For 111A and 112, rebate under section 87A is available. Meaning thereby, let's say I have no other income. I have sold shares, short-term capital gain, I have got 4 lakhs of rupees. I am an individual resident, so not a senior citizen or not a senior citizen, so the limit is 250. So on this 1,50,000 rupees, I will be taxed at the rate of 15%. It is a short-term capital gain, so 22,500 rupees. My rebate would be 12,500 rupees. On a differential amount, 10,000 plus education says this is what is going to be a tax liability which I have to pay. But if there is a capital gain under 112A or 112A, if there is a capital gain and tax under 112A, then that will not be eligible under section 87A rebate. So let's say that I have got a long-term capital gain of 4,90,000 rupees. 1 lakh is an exemption. Now it is 3,90,000 rupees. Up to 250, there is no tax. On 140, 14,000 is my tax liability. No 87A rebate. Okay. Somebody is saying that I have got a business income of 2 lakh and I have got 2,90,000 rupee as my long-term capital gain. If I have got my business income 2 lakh and 290 as income from capital gain covered under 112A, so 1 lakh is going to be an exemption. 2 lakh plus 190, it is going to be 3,90,000 rupees. Now on this 3,90,000 rupees, up to 250, no tax liability. Because my entire 2 lakh is going to, now remaining 1,40,000 rupees, my tax liability is going to be 14,000 rupees. Let us say somebody says, my income is 3 lakhs and income from capital gain is 2,90,000 rupees. So one can say 3 lakh plus 190, so 490. On this 490, my tax liability is first 250 nil, the rest 250 to 50,000, 2,500, then 3 to 190, 490, it is 19,000. So total 24,000. But my rebate is only 5,000, which will be in relation to the other income, not in relation to that 112A wala income. So this is what I wanted to discuss. First, I will take exemption under 54F and then I'll go to rebate under section 112 or 112A. That leads me towards an issue that section 5627B. Section 5627B says that in case of a closely held company, if they issue a share at a price more than the fair market value, then so much is the excess price over the face value of the share that would be taxed. Now, let us say that the face value of the share is 10 rupees. The fair value of the share is 6 rupees and company issues the share at 100 rupees. Now, appreciate the point. If the face value is 10, fair value is 60 and issue price is 100, then one can say that capital gain, the gift would be only 40 rupees because excess price. But if the face value is 10, fair value is 6 and issue price is 100, in that case, they say that so much of the excess over the face value, that would be taxed. So what is excess over a face value is 90 rupees. So only 90 rupees is going to be taxed under section 5627B. Here, courts have also taken a view that let's say A Limited and B. A Limited has A and B as the shareholder. Now they are issuing a right shares. These right shares are going to A and B again. And they are buying the shares in the same proportion. Even though these shares are issued at a price less than fair market value, but their common holding remains the same. Because before also mine is 15 and Jain Saab was 50% and mine was 50%. So now, once again, company comes up with the right issue. We both are getting 50-50 only. Here, our holding doesn't change. Percentage holding remains the same. So 5627B has nothing to do over here. Has no role to play over here. At the same point of time, let's say I renounce my right in favor of Jain Saab and Jain Sir buys the share. Now there is a disproportionate allocation. So here, so far as disproportionate allocation is concerned, section 5627B would have applicability at this moment. So this is the majority part with respect to the shares that I have covered. Now I'm making it open for you for the questions so that we can deal with the questions first.
Sir, this is regarding 57, 57.7 that you just told. There is one issue, like if an existing company,
Right.
face value of the share is rupees 10, and book value, say FMV is a book value is the FMV, that comes to rupees 100. Now, the company wants to issue the shares at face value and not at the premium. 1 or 2 years back, department came out with a circular which they withdrew after 1 or 2 months, that if share has been issued at face value, then the section would not be applicable, and share premium would the difference between the FMV and the face value would not be taxable.
True.
Like if a company is there, they don't want to issue the share at premium. They want to issue a share at face value, and there is no tax planning they want to do in it. It is just a normal private limited company. Then now, what is the position right now?
So yes, so see, the words of the section are very clear. When a company, not being a company in which the public are substantially interested, in any previous year from any person being a resident in any consideration for the issue of a shares that exceeds the face value of the shares, the aggregate consideration received for such shares as exceed the fair market value of the share. Meaning
Right.
thereby, if the face value is, let's say, 100, fair value is 100, the face value is 10, and you are issuing also at 10 rupee only, right?
10. Yeah.
So in that particular case, 5627B will not have any role to play so far as the company is concerned.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
problem that comes is 56.210, that is in the hands of that concerned individual.
Right.
Because 56.210 says that where a person receives in any previous year from any person or person on or after 1st day of April 2017,
Mhm.
any property other than immovable property without consideration, or you can say for a consideration which is less than the aggregate fair market value of the property by an amount exceeding 50,000 rupees, the aggregate of the fair market value of such property as exceeds such consideration. So now you are issuing at 90 rupees, 10 rupees, sorry, in your example, you are issuing at 10 rupees. The fair market value is 100 rupees, right? So this 90 rupees may be taxed under 56.210. Here, you can forward an argument, because if I really look at the words again, they say that when any person receives in any previous year. So the point is, they should receive. Receive per se means when you are giving, I am receiving. Right? So meaning thereby, it has to be in the existence at the time when it is being given. So now the word receive, when it comes from you, I'm getting it. Yes, I would say this would be applicable. But so far as issue is concerned, issue, it was never in existence till it was given. It came into existence when it was actually given to me. So can the word receives be interpreted to mean that issue is not going to be covered? Recently, Ahmedabad ITTS was not convinced with this argument, and they said that no, it would be treated as received only and it would be taxed.
So if proportionate of the shareholding does not change, as you said, there are two shareholders.
There is no gift.
56 to 10 also would not be applicable in that case, because they are receiving shares less than the fair market value.
Agreed. Let's say you and me are partners. We both are having 50% shareholding in a company. Now companies come up with the right issue.
Forget about the right issue. It's a private limited company. We just want to raise more capital in the company. Say 10 lakh of capital we want to raise, and both of us are putting in 5 lakh each at the face value. And earlier also our share was 50%. Now 56 to 10 would be applicable or not?
Certainly not. Because end of the day, even by acquiring it, my stake in the company remains the same. My stake in the company would remain the same even after acquiring it. No?
In my view, otherwise, in my view, even if the proportionate changed, even then 56 to 10 should not be applicable. But they came up with the circular also, which they withdrew after 1 or 2 months.
They
I don't
withdrew
know.
within very couple of days, probably not even
Yeah,
months.
maybe.
They withdrew that circular within the couple of days as well. But since they withdrew, probably they will change the stand because the matter was pending before the courts.
Maybe. Right, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Sir, in case of private limited company, if one of the shareholder is HUF represented by Karta, and in case of right issue it is less than the fair market value, will there be any impact of
Impact in what
applicable
sense?
section 56 to 10 with respect to that?
What kind of an impact we are discussing, sir? If
I
you
mean,
can-
will there be a gift or not?
Sir, 56 to 10 is now applicable to whenever any person receives. So that in the past, the words which was applicable for individual HUF, now the any person. So even if the shareholder is an HUF, if there is a disproportionate allocation, 56 to 10 would have an applicability.
Right. Yes, queries, please. Gulshan ji.
हाँ जी सर, फर्स्ट क्वेरी आवाज आ रही मेरी?
Absolutely.
Sir, first query is from CA Hitesh Bakku ji. If any premium on option is received or paid towards the end of the year in March, and the contracts will expire in April,
I guess I
whether the
dealt with this query. I dealt with this query. It would be treated as an expenditure in the month in which you have paid the premium because you cannot now recover. It is an expenditure. You have to claim it as an expenditure in the month in which you incurred. I dealt with that.
Next query, sir, from Kalyan Garg ji. Can we combine the mutual fund SIP transaction together to show in one entry, or all the transactions are to be shown separately?
If we can elaborate the transaction, sorry, if you can elaborate, I received that query, but I couldn't understand that query. If we can elaborate.
सर, जब हम मेच्योरिटी लेते हैं म्यूचुअल फंड का, तो उसमें सिप का डिटेल दे देता है वो, जो कैपिटल गेन शीट होती है फ्रॉम वेरी बिगिनिंग। अगर मैंने 1 लाख का रिडम्पशन लिया तो मेरी 2000 रुपए की सिप थी, तो वो 50 EMI का कॉस्ट मेरे को इकट्ठा दे देता है कि मैंने कब कब क्या क्या परचेज किया। तो वो इंडिविजुअल कॉस्ट मेरे पास है, इंडिविजुअल सेलिंग प्राइस मेरे सामने पड़ा है कैपिटल गेन शीट में। तो मुझे भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि उनका पूछने का मायने ये है कि जो कैपिटल गेन शीट में जो एक कलेक्टिव फिगर आया है, एग्रीगेट फिगर आया है सेल का और कॉस्ट का, तो क्या वो उसको क्लब करके एक ही सिंगल एंट्री में ले सकते हैं?
So far as entire amount is long term and so far as sale is on the redemption is on the same day.
रिडम्पशन सर फैक्ट सब डिफरेंट है। या कल्याण गर्ग जी अगर हैं लाइन पर, कल्याण गर्ग जी अगर आप हैं तो आपको अनम्यूट कर देते हैं, आप थोड़ा क्लैरिफाई कर दीजिए। कल्याण गर्ग जी।
हेलो
कल्याण जी, आपके 2 डिवाइसेस चल रहे हैं।
चलाए हुए हैं सर, आपने 2 डिवाइसेस चलाए हुए हैं, एक बंद कर दीजिए तो आपकी आवाज ठीक आएगी।
हेलो सर, कैन यू हियर मी?
बताएं सर।
हेलो
हाँ जी, बोलिए सर, क्लियर है आपकी आवाज।
हेलो
हाँ जी, कल्याण जी बोलिए।
सर, मैं ये पूछना चाहता था कि जैसे कि इक्विटी बेस्ड म्यूचुअल फंड है और उसकी जो सिप की ट्रांजेक्शन है, लेट अस से कि 2003 से वो स्टार्ट हो रही है और डायरेक्ट उसकी रिडम्पशन कर दिया मान लीजिए पिछले साल 2021 में, तो फिर वो सारी ट्रांजेक्शन्स को क्लब करके उसकी रिडम्पशन शो कर सकते हैं कि अलग अलग को प्रोपोर्शनेटली वो बांट कर शो करना पड़ेगा?
सर, जो आपने 2003 से अगर आपकी SIP चल रही है, वहां पर तो आपके पास एक ऑप्शन है कि यू आर सेलिंग इन 2020, रिडीमिंग इन 2022। so far as 2003 से लेके 31st जनवरी 2021 तक आपके पास ऑप्शन रहेगा कि 31st जनवरी 2021 का प्राइस ले पाओगे अगर वो ज्यादा है तो।
18 का सर।
18 सर।
31 जनवरी 18
यस। तो वो आपका एक स्लॉट, एक बंच अलग बन जाएगा। So I forgot to deal with that particular part. They say that you have acquired a share, let's say for 500 rupees in the past. Now on 31st January 18, the price is let's say 1200 rupees. You are selling it, let's say, at 1800 rupees. So 12 or 1800, whichever is less is 1200, and 500 and 1200, whichever is higher is 1200. So your cost of acquisition becomes 1200 rupees. So far as the cost which you have invested is 500. So below 1200, you can club it. There will not be a problem.
Okay, sir.
So far as for those transactions where the cost exceeds 1200 rupees, so then 1200, 1800, whichever is less, but the cost is, let's say, 1400 rupees. So then you have to take for those all purchases, you have to take a rate of 1400 rupees.
Okay, sir.
I
Okay,
hope
sir.
my
I
point is
understood that.
getting clear to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So for all acquisitions which are at a higher price than 31st January's price, then it has to be clubbed in a separate way. The third one is the acquisitions post 31st January. That is also okay. The fourth one is the one which are bought within last 12 months, because they all are going to be short-term one.
Okay, sir.
तो
Thank you, sir.
एटलीस्ट एक ही रिडम्पशन का डेट है, तो ये 4 भाग तो पड़ेंगे मिनिमम.
ठीक है सर. ठीक है सर. मैं समझ गया सर. थैंक यू.
राजीव जी नेक्स्ट क्वेरी लेंगे प्लीज.
हाँ जी, नमस्कार रोशन, थैंक यू. नमस्कार जिग्नेश जी. सर क्वेरी एक सुधीर जी की है, वो डिस्कस हो चुकी है, नंबर 3. इसके बाद क्वेरी सीए अंकुर जी की. Assessee is having turnover of rupees 10 lakhs in options and loss incurred is rupee 1 lakh, but his other income is above exemption limit. Question is whether audit will be applicable.
Okay, so assuming that the other income is a salary income, assuming that the other salary income is 6 lakhs of rupees, and he has got turnover in F&O 10 lakhs of rupees, he has got a loss of 1 lakhs of rupees. The
Correct.
question is correct. I hope I have correctly understood the question.
Yes sir.
जी
Okay.
सर जी.
So first thing I need to check, whenever there comes a question of audit, I have to first check applicability of 44AD. Once I have to make myself free from 44AD, then only I will travel to 44AB. That is the first rule. Now, when the question is whether audit is applicable, I will say, let me go to 44AD. 44AD says that you should be eligible as an eligible business. The business which you are doing is an eligible business. Turnover does not exceed 2 crore rupees, and it is not of a business referred to in 44A. So it is eligible business. Number 2, I assume that you are an eligible assessee, meaning thereby you are not having commission income, you are not having any, you are not a professional. If you are having a commission income of even 10,000 rupees, maybe on a cash or a mercantile basis, then there is no question of audit, because 4480 per se is not applicable to you. Assuming you are not falling in any of these categories, so yes, you are an eligible assessee. Number 3, if it is the first year of the business, F&O activity, if it is the first year, there is no mandate to go for an audit. You can disclose 1 lakh, 10 lakh turnover, 1 lakh loss. No need to do the audit. Number 3. Number 4, if it is business which you are carrying out since last few years, but you have never ever opted for 4480, always maintain books of accounts, and you have offered an income, no need to maintain no need to go for an audit. 5th, you had in the past opted for 44AD. In the past, you have opted for section 44AD and or disclosed 8% or more of the profit and without maintaining books of accounts. And this year falls within the 5 years from the end of that year, then you have to mandatorily get your books of accounts audited.
Sir, thank you. Second part of query of C Ankur ji. Ankur ji is online ji? Ankur ji? Second part is, if yes, audit is applicable, he generally does not maintain any books. How can we do the audit? So this is the second part. So I did
Sir, already been answered, sir.
Naturally, the books of accounts will have to be maintained.
सेम क्वेरी है जैसे अभिलाष जी ने पूछा था कि सैलरीड बंदा आ जाता है हमारे पास, बुक्स बैंक स्टेटमेंट दे देता है, उसका हम ऑडिट करें या क्या ना करें, ये समझ नहीं लगता है. इसके ऊपर अगर कोई आप अपने ऑफिस में कैसे करते हो प्रैक्टिकली, हाउ डू यू हैंडल दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ सिचुएशन, उसके ऊपर थोड़ा टाइम लगाइए सर.
So sir, basically, yes. So basically, generally what we are doing here is that whenever we come, so first of all, what we are doing is now in case of this annual information statement, from there itself, we come to know that the person has dealt in the stock market transaction. If you look about the past, then the assessee never used to say that we have done a stock market transaction. They used to just give a form 16. This is the form 16. This is our interest certificate. Do it, matter ends. Now, because this annual information statement is there, from there itself we come to know you have done something in the stock market. So what we do is we ask the client, give us your user ID and password. We will download the relevant statement so that we can come to know about what exactly has happened and what are the transactions you have carried out. Frankly speaking, normally clients are comfortable parting with the user ID and password. So from Zerodha or Nirmal Bang, we can download those particular statements. If from the perusal of those statements, it appears that as referred by you, the case is kind of that your turnover is, let's say, 30 lakhs of rupees. By taking the difference in modulus, the turnover turned out to be 30 lakhs of rupees. And let us take an example. You have made a profit of, let's say, 8 lakhs of rupees. Then we will say 30 lakhs turnover, 8 lakh profit, because it is below 8%, below 6, sorry, beyond 6%. Nothing to bother. We'll do that. We will do this accordingly, because the 6% turned out, 30 lakhs, 6% turned out to be less than 3 lakhs of rupees. And this he has got actual profit of 8 lakhs, so there is no problem. But if the situation is reverse, let's say he has made a loss of 4 lakhs of rupees and 8% turned out to be 2,40,000 rupees. Now in this case, and let us also assume that he is a salaried employee. So now I would check first of all that is this the first year where he tried, or that was the last year he has done something. Let us say this is the first year. There is no need to maintain book. In that particular case, there is no need to get the books of accounts audited. However, if the turnover has exceeded 30 lakhs of rupees, so maintenance of books of account is mandatory, where you would say my turnover is 30 lakh, maybe in the form that the profit 15 lakh and loss 15 lakh kind of, and that's why it turned out to be 30 lakh. He has to maintain books of accounts. So we ask the client that, sir, you have to maintain books of accounts, because the law makes it mandatory, because you have to maintain books of accounts. Even if you don't wish to maintain, because return filing is your obligation, we are simply assisting you. You don't want to maintain books of account, then only based on a statement which has been made available to us, I can say that 15 lakh is a profit, 15 lakh is a profit, let's say 15 lakh is the loss, 15 lakh profit, 15 lakh loss, other expenditure which has been debited in the broker's account. I would be in a position, by making some efforts, to drag a memoranda profit and loss account. We would insist that has to be done. If not done this way, your return will be filed anyhow, but this would invite a penal consequence, which is 25,000 rupees. So that would be a call. Normally, in some of the clients, we also have a practice of getting management representation executed, and we have been made aware of this particular provisions, and the data has been provided by us to the client, and based on this data, the return has been filed. We have one client, I mean, with due respect to the gentleman, he is selling an immovable property, but he has problem in sharing the sale deed. Forget about books of accounts. He is not selling sale deed. He is simply, I would say, he would see simply this gentleman is like this way on a WhatsApp, sends the detail. These are his income tax details. This comes on a WhatsApp. This is the poorest situation about what we are saying. Now, this is how he sends the detail on a WhatsApp. That this is my income detail. So you please prepare. So this includes the details of sale of property, purchase, and the stuff. What we do is we prepare a statement anyway, because you are sharing me a detail. I'm not supposed to audit it. I prepare a return, but below that return, I put a footnote that we have prepared your return exclusively based on documents supplied by you over WhatsApp without verifying your documents. This is only because my form is subject to peer review. When my peer reviewer comes, I'll have to offer this file that this is what we are doing. Number A. Number B, when it comes on accounts, if you don't want to maintain, I am okay, because anyway, through Excel, I will be able to manage the things. The issue comes number 3. When you are going to get the book, when the books of accounts are liable to be audited, here it is a serious concern. Yes, like the gentleman raised a concern, 25 crore ka turnover or exposure nahi, turnover as per the technical terms, salaried income 20 lakh rupiah. Sir, you have to get the books of accounts audited. There is no choice. You have to get the books of accounts audited. You have to maintain and get the books of accounts audited. It is your discretion. मुझसे करो किसी और से करो, but you have to get the books of accounts audited. Otherwise, it will be difficult to go and file the return. If you insist, we will go and file. It will be at risk and cost. But then this is mandatorily is required to be done. More precisely, one more thing I would like to share with you. Now, as per section 44 AB, clause A, there is a proviso of 2 crore to 10 crore, 5% limit wala. Now, this 5% limit, they say that the cash includes cross check and bearer check. So anything which has come through cross check or a bearer check, that would also be treated as cash. Now, not a single assessee maintains, sir, not a single assessee maintains the record of the amount come through cross check. How would we come to know what the money has come through cross check or account paycheck? So far as the NEFT transaction, we are okay. RTGS, we are okay. So how would I be in a position to decide whether the audit would be applicable or not? Here, so working is being made by us, we assess the client, but then we take it on a management representation that we supply this information. Based on this, you guide us whether audit is applicable or not. And in notes to audit report, we also give one qualification that the eligibility of the or calculation of the turnover has been done by the assessee. We have relied on this.
Right.
Rajiv ji, next query.
Hanji, next query, sir, is this is similar to query of Sudhir ji that we have discussed. I am investor come trader in stock market. I am regularly trading in options and futures, that is derivatives, which is taxable under the head income from business and profession, and having delivery based transactions, which is capital gain, by following circular number 6 of 2016. Now I bought SBI future at the rate of rupees 320. On expiry, I got delivery at the rate of rupees 450. What will be my business income, if any? Further, what will be my cost of acquisition for ascertaining capital gain, that is rupees 320 or 450 or any other, presuming no other charges? Please explain with relevant sections, rule or like.
This is what we have dealt with the first question, that 1300 and 350. It's the same thing.
Yes, similar question. Yes.
There are two more queries from Kalyanji. I think we have skipped it.
Yes, sir. Kalyanji, what are off-market debit and credit transactions shown in AIS statement?
Now, off-market, I mean, if you can share that particular statement, but off-market, I can academically explain that I have sold shares to you, not on the floor of the stock exchange, but I have sold the shares to you and the money is coming to me. It is going to be the off-market transaction which is settled not on the floor of the stock exchange.
I think this is from one demat to other demat, just without taking stock.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Through instruction slip.
Through instruction slip. Yes, yes, exactly.
Yes. And there is another query of Kalyanji, where to show speculative and F&O profit or loss in ITR 3 form when there exists another income from business and profession of the assessee.
So yes, so basically probably the question is, the gentleman is a trader or stationary trader and has done an F&O business kind of that. So what we do in those particular cases, because we have only one, we have to maintain, they have given only one profit and loss balance sheet to be maintained over there. They are not given an option to maintain different profit and loss and different balance sheets. So here my stationary P&L, and that would only contain in the other income side profit from the derivative business and losses from the derivative business. Over there also, or there only I am supposed to reflect. I have no other space to do that.
Sir, kindly repeat. Other income?
I'll explain. I explain. Let us say I have a stationary business. I have got a profit of 5 lakh in a stationary business. I have got derivative transactions and my turnover is 30 lakhs. How come 30 lakhs? 17 lakh profit, 30 lakh losses, 13 lakh losses. So that's how I have got 30 lakhs, assuming there are no other charges. Correct. Now, stationary business 5 lakhs. Now the question that comes is that for a derivative business, where I would say for a derivative business, the 30 lakh turnover, I have got a profit of 17 lakhs. I don't want to maintain my books of accounts. The question of option number A. If I do not want to maintain my books of accounts, then my stationary P&L has got a net profit 5 lakhs of rupees. Straightway that come to 5 lakhs of rupees, my matter is done. And that 44 AD, I would say turnover 30 lakhs of rupees. The 8% is going to be 2,40,000 rupees, and my actual profit is going to be 17 lakhs of rupees. Then issue is resolved. Number two, let us say that I want to maintain books of accounts even for that, and let's say I want to reflect it accordingly. So in that case, I would say in my P&L of a stationery business, which has got a let's say sale of 40 lakhs of rupees, purchase of 36 lakhs of rupees, and expenditure 1 lakh. That's how it comes to be. Sorry, expenditure purchase 34 lakh and expenditure 1 lakh, 35 lakh. That's how it came to be 5 lakhs of profit. So here I would say my profit, sorry, sale 40 lakhs, which is my stationery sale. Below that, other income, below that, profit from derivative business 17 lakhs. Then on the expense side, purchase 34 lakh, loss from derivative business 13 lakh, other expense 1 lakh. Ultimately, I would end up reflecting my profit as 9 lakhs of rupees, because 17 lakh profit, 13 lakh loss, 4 lakh, and 5 lakh is the profit of 5 lakh is the profit from a stationery business. So my net profit as per profit and loss account is 9 lakh, which would be straightway captured by ITS. I can also here do another thing. I don't want to reflect this 4 lakh here. I want to reflect this 4 lakh under 4480. So I'll say net profit as per profit and loss account 9 lakh, less income considered separately 4 lakhs of rupees. So now net profit is going to be 5 lakh. What is income considered separately 4 lakh? That has gone to the presumptive business. The turnover is 30 lakhs, and this is going to be 4 lakhs of rupees.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Gulshan ji, is there any other query?
सर एक क्वेश्चन है कि अगर कोई ऑफ मार्केट ट्रांजैक्शन में हमने कुछ बाय किया तो
Any stock?
Any stock, for example, some shares have been transferred through off market mode through instruction slip. अब उसका जो because STT पे नहीं हुआ तो वो adversely हमें कहाँ हिट कर सकता है as far as income tax is concerned?
So first of all, if you are buying a shares off market, so first of all, it is not illegal to buy the shares off market. You can validly buy the shares off market.
Correct, sir.
Now, if the shares have come off market because you are a promoter of the company and you bought the shares, and then thereafter the company got listed, and then after the company got sold. So when you bought the shares, there was no STT per se. I mean, so here no problems, because if you refer to the 112A, then if they're talking about a notification, there is one notification number 60 where they have given those kind of an exceptions. Second situation is, let's say you had a shares of a listed company. Now the company gave up a right share to you. There cannot be an STT at the time of a purchase of the right share.
सर कई बार ऐसे होता है कि एक फैमिली मेंबर के पास उसने शेयर सेल करने हैं तो वो दूसरे से क्या कर लेता है, ऑफ मार्केट ट्रांसफर कर लेता है। अब वो तो इसलिए करता है कि भाई मेरे को ये मार्केट में एक बार पैसा दूंगा उसके बाद शेयर्स मेरे पास आएंगे। वो सीधा क्या करता है, एक फैमिली हैंड से दूसरे फैमिली हैंड में ऑफ मार्केट ट्रांसफर कर लेता है। बट उसको ये नहीं पता होता कि भाई मैंने STT पे नहीं किया तो इसका इनकम टैक्स में मेरे ऊपर एडवर्स इफेक्ट आ सकता है।
देखो मैं सॉरी मैं इंटरप्ट कर रहा हूँ, मैं उसी पॉइंट पर आ रहा हूँ। पहले मैं खरीदी वाला पॉइंट खत्म करता हूँ, देन आई कम टू द सेल वाला पॉइंट।
जी
विल दैट बी ओके?
यस सर।
ओके, तो अगर खरीदी है मेरी, मैं अपनी परचेज की बात कर रहा हूँ। इफ माय परचेज इज, लेट्स से इफ आई से आई हैव परचेज, एंड इफ से माय परचेज इज let us take an example. If it is by way of a right share, there cannot be STT. If it is purchases prior to 2004, जब STT था ही नहीं, there cannot be. Correct. Bonus shares STT नहीं हो सकती. Correct. Amalgamation हुआ, A limited got amalgamated with B limited. I got the shares of B limited. STT हो ही नहीं सकता. If I say demerger हुआ, Reliance with the Jio अलग हो गया, demerge हुआ, तो STT नहीं हो. So this notification 60 deals with the cases where even if at the time of an acquisition you are not paid STT, there will not be any problem.
Correct.
The condition of 112A that there should be STT both at the time of purchase and sale, that stands satisfied, no problems. Coming to now sale side, when I am not paying STT at the time of sale. If I'm not paying STT at the time of sale, when I'm selling the shares to my brother, if I'm selling the shares to my friend, I'm not paying STT. Now they are listed shares. I'm selling it without STT. So advantage of 112A is not available. Now what is 112A? No indexation. It will be taxed at the rate of 10%. That is 112A. What does 112 provides? 112 says that if the shares are of a listed company and if you are selling it off market, then you have two options. Go without indexation and pay tax at the rate of 20%. Go with indexation and pay tax at the rate of, go with indexation and pay tax at the rate of 20%. Go without indexation and pay tax at the rate of 10%. So So now if you compare, I sold my shares to you. They are listed shares. I sold to you off market. I have bought the shares at 1 lakh, selling to you at 1,80,000 rupees. What would be a situation? Here, 80,000 rupee will be taxed at the rate of, let's say 10%, so 8,000 in 112. 112A, profit is 80,000. But assuming this is the only transaction, up to 1 lakh, no profit, there will be a loss. There will not be any taxable income. So that is only going to be a difference.
Correct. Correct.
But let us assume that I have already made a profit of 5 lakhs of rupees, which is covered under 112A. Now I sell this 1,80,000 share to you off market or on market, which will have no impact at all. Because anyway, I have already consumed my 1 lakhs of rupees advantage.
Correct.
Now coming back to the purchase, you have purchased shares off market of some company. I purchased shares of Reliance from you off market, let's say. Now it is not covered under notification number 60. Now in that particular case, if I sell the share at a later stage, if I have purchased from banking channel, there is absolutely no problem. But if I have purchased the shares from cash and the company is identified as a penny stock company making a part of the CBI final CBI report, then in that particular case, it may be treated as a bogus long-term capital gain, and there can be an addition under section 68 for that, where I have to prove that I have genuinely purchased those shares and I have to establish that the shares were with me. Look at my demat account. I might have purchased in cash, but you look at my demat account, shares have been there, shares have been credited to my demat account, and it is not the case that shares have been credited to my demat account yesterday and I am selling it today and claiming it to have been purchased 2 years back. It were there in my balance sheet since last 2 years or since last at least 1 year. If you can establish, then even if purchased in cash, there will not be a problem.
Correct, sir. अभिलाष जी कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे। अभिलाष जी लाइन पे हो आप?
यस सर, थैंक यू सर। अगर आपके पास जरूर रेडी है तो एक ड्राफ्ट एमआरएल, नोट्स टू अकाउंट्स और नोट्स टू टैक्स ऑडिट F&O केसेस के लिए आप शेयर कर सकते हैं सब मेंबर्स के लिए।
I can prepare and share it in the next week if that is okay with you.
बिकॉज F&O के ऑडिट जब भी होंगे, बाकी आपकी वर्कशॉप के लिए तो हम सब इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि वी हैव टू एग्जीक्यूट देम इन प्रॉपर मैनर, और उसके लिए हम सारी बस सर मीटिंग के दौरान ही मेरे दिमाग में आया था बुक्स को कैसे हम करें। जैसे सर ने कहा कि अब तो हल निकालना है, तो मंथ एंड पे एक जो भी प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की फिगर है, ट्रांजैक्शंस तो सारी रिकॉर्ड करी जा सकती नहीं है जितनी वॉल्यूमिनस होती है कई केसेस में, इट गोज इनटू थाउजेंड्स। टाइम टू टाइम हो तो बात अलग है, बट पोस्ट फैक्टो जब हम आज खड़े हुए हैं तब सिचुएशन डिफरेंट है। तो मंथ एंड की एक ट्रांजैक्शन रिकॉर्ड हो जाए प्रॉफिट या लॉस की, और बैंक बैलेंस, ब्रोकर मार्जिन, मेजर ट्रांजैक्शन रिकॉर्ड हो जाए, बस उससे ज्यादा तो कोई मुझे हल नजर नहीं आ रहा जो बुक्स मेंटेनेंस को पूरा करने के लिए।
नहीं सर, ये तो लास्ट मिनट रिसोर्ट हम दौड़ा भागी करके कर रहे हैं बेसिकली, बट देन दिस इज नॉट, आई वुड से दिस इज नॉट द करेक्ट अप्रोच, बिकॉज assess, and even if you want to do it to conclude, assessee has to be enlightened that this is something we are doing absolute jugaad just to complete a formality which may result into penal consequences.
See, assessee will do what we guide them. So this is the assessee's part. Books is assessee's part. Our part is F&O audit. We have to write that books of accounts have been maintained. We can't say no, books of accounts have not been maintained. If we write no, then the objective of audit goes into nullity. So if we have to write yes, then we have to find a solution, amicable solution. And that is the thing which came to my mind. You may deliberate your suggestion, sir.
So first of all, I would share one experience with you. When you said that we have to write yes, my frank objection starts from that only. I had witnessed a position in a CBI office, Bandra Kurla complex, Bombay. What has happened over there is I would say an honest chartered accountant has done the audit, signed a tax audit report, given that tax audit report to the borrower, I mean the auditee. Auditee went to the bank, he borrowed the money, he siphoned the money, he ran away. Now the gentle CBI team has catch hold of all auditors and invited them for having a cup of tea, and then they started interrogating a chartered accountant on a very, I would say, miserable way. I'm sorry, but it is a very miserable way. And the language was altogether different one. It is not something like
You are very right, sir. But
I'll tell you what has happened, sir. I'll tell you.
The facts.
अविनाश जी सुन लो, अविनाश जी सुन लो.
चलो, ठीक है जी.
What has happened there? The PSI was very clear. I'm sorry to make this statement. I would always say that normally this kind of people address us as sir, but in those circumstances that PSI and PI were interrogating that chartered accountant, saying that either you accept that you have done the audit in the pressure of the borrower, or we'll file a charge sheet against you, then you know and your institute will take a call. The chartered accountant was in a very poor position. I was witnessing that. I told him, boss, tax audit is not chartered. I mean, tax audit is not meant for a banker. It is meant for an assessing officer to assess the taxable income. If banker has used this document to assess the repaying capacity, then it is at his own risk and cost. And that should be your answer to the officer. Give your answer, you will come out. He dictated that answer, he came out. And from that, we learned a lesson. That from that episode, we learned a lesson. From that somebody else's experience, we learned a lesson. That in our all tax audit reports, we have to put this kind of a note that our tax audit is exclusively meant for assessing a taxable income. And if any other person or authority is making use of the document for taking any decision without prior our written consent, then it will be at his own risk and cost. And the person executing this report will nowhere held responsible for the consequences arising on account of taking a decision based on this document without prior our written consent. So that is why, based on this experience I'm sharing with you, if books of accounts are required to be maintained and if the gentleman is not maintained, do write no. Convince him that you have to maintain books of accounts. It is mandatory to maintain books of accounts. I have to get this audited. It has to be as per accounting standards. If he has not followed, I have to qualify that as well. Now you would raise a concern. The gentleman has come on 25th of September. The cutoff date is 30th of September. I have 15 audits pending. How would I be in a position to write the books of accounts? How would I be in a position to get the books of accounts audited? I would say, yes, you have a valid concern. You are right. But please appreciate a point. The Income Tax Act is supporting you. They are saying that if you could not see, so far as there is a profit, if you could not get the books of accounts audited by 30th of September and could not file the audit report by 30th of September, no need to worry. The penalty can be imposed only if there is a fault. If there is a reasonable cause under section 273B, then there cannot be a penalty of 1.5 lakhs of rupees. And if the facts are that the assessee has approached on 25th of September, assessee was not aware about the provisions, it was being made aware by a chartered accountant, and accordingly the books of accounts were returned, accordingly they were audited, and accordingly the audit report is filed. So, and before that, advance tax has already been filed, or the tax due has already been filed by the due date of filing return, there is no loss to the revenue. In that case, there are judicial pronouncements available that there cannot be a penalty under 271B for not getting books of accounts audited. If accountant has resigned, there is electricity failure, chartered accountant is suffering from ill health, books of accounts are lost, books of accounts are destroyed, there cannot be a penalty. They all are called reasonable causes. But what happens generally, that we take this responsibility on our shoulder, that the client has given us a bank statement, now anyway I have to finish, if I don't do, the client would do. This is a fear that we are carrying, and this invites a biggest risk. So that is the precise reason I would say, ask him, you have to get the books of accounts, you have to maintain books of accounts as per the norms. If you don't want to maintain as per the norms, I have no problems, but I'll have to qualify. Taxable income may not have any impact on this.
So sir,
Yeah, so don't.
हमारे facts हैं केस के, वो है F&O केस, right? It's not a normal manufacturing or trading business. ना ही कहीं banking, borrowing involved है. मैं आपकी बात से पूरा सहमत हूँ. Normal audits के केस में we follow a very strict practice. of getting insured, and we are very very precise on how the reporting is to be done as well. Qualification disclaimer सब किए जाते हैं. अब F&O केस में जब पोस्ट फैक्टो एक सैलरीड एम्प्लॉय आ जाता है आज की डेट में, व्हाट इज द सोल्यूशन यू आर फोर्सिंग? आप कह रहे हैं कि पूरी फ्यूचर ऑप्शंस की ही बुक्स मेंटेन करी जाए, ये बोला जाए उसको? यू आर सेइंग दिस?
Ideally, yes, to maintain books of accounts.
अब सर अगर हम इसको प्रैक्टिकली देखें, हाउ मच यू फील इट्स एग्जीक्यूटेबल? जितनी
अभिलाषी हम सबको कहते हैं मेंटेन करने के लिए.
चलिए फिर ठीक है सर,
प्रैक्टिकली तो करना ही. अगर देखो सर, बात ऐसे है जो सर ने बताया है कि प्रैक्टिकली है या नहीं है. इफ इट इज रिक्वायर्ड, इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. वो करता है या नहीं करता वो उसकी मर्जी है. हम अगर उसकी जिम्मेवारी अपने शोल्डर पर लेते हैं तो हमारी जिम्मेवारी है. लेट्स बी क्लियर ऑन दीज
हम
इश्यूज.
नहीं ले
उसके
रहे.
बाद कोई क्वेश्चन रहता नहीं है कि वो करता है नहीं करता है. अगर नहीं करता तो नहीं करेगा, उस पर क्या कर सकते हैं.
जैन साहब, अभिलाषी लीगल के साथ साथ प्रैक्टिकल जो इशू है ना उसको साथ में ले रहे हैं कि प्रैक्टिकली बहुत मुश्किल है ये चीज, वो उसका कोई सोल्यूशन ढूंढना चाह रहे
मैं
हैं.
आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ, प्रैक्टिकली नहीं हो सकता. इसलिए तो कह रहे हैं कि प्रैक्टिकली नहीं होता तो उसका डिस्क्लेमर ले लिया जाए ना. अगर बंदा 28 जुलाई को आएगा, ये मेरी रिटर्न भर दो, उसमें कोई डिटेल तो देता नहीं है, बैंक स्टेटमेंट दे दी, अब जिम्मेवारी हमारी बन गई. मैं उसमें से निकलना चाहता हूँ, उस प्रैक्टिकल में से ही निकलना चाहता हूँ. 500 रुपये देते नहीं है और फ्यूचर एंड ऑप्शन की करोड़ों की ट्रांजेक्शन किए हुए हैं.
सर 48 पेज की रिपोर्ट आती है, 2 लाख का लॉस होता है और फीस मांगो, कहते हैं यार पहले 2 लाख का लॉस है.
ये कंबोज साहब के इनपुट्स ले लेते हैं इसमें, जो मैं बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ. जो विलास जी या आपके सबके साथ प्रॉब्लम सेम है, सिमिलर प्रॉब्लम.
सर मैं यहाँ एक बात ऐड करनी चाहूंगा कि क्लाइंट, ये हम सभी मेंबर्स की एक रेगुलर प्रॉब्लम है कि वी गेट आवर क्लाइंट्स कमिंग, द अकाउंटेंट्स कमिंग एट द वेरी लास्ट मोमेंट. प्रैक्टिकली देखा जाए तो इट इज ह्यूमनली इम्पॉसिबल टू कवर एवरीथिंग एट द लास्ट मोमेंट. बट वी मेंबर मस्ट डेवलप द हैबिट of writing either through email or through WhatsApp and give a one communication by call. Thereafter you sleep thereafter. If any person comes at the very last moment, don't entertain. He will learn a lesson for the future. He will go, leave you, doesn't matter, he will come to me, and I am very sure, or if anyone leaves me, come to you, he will pay you double the fees. This will save us, with due regard to my learned colleague, the speaker. He may or may not endorse my views, but I am very clear about it. You can't put your night sleepless. Rather, for the assessee, it is there only one case or two case or three returns. But for you, maybe 100, 200, 500, 10,000. How you will do it? छोड़ दीजिए, 10% जाते हैं जाएं. वो आएंगे मेरे और आपके पास ही आएंगे ना, डबल फीस दे के जाएंगे. लास्ट मोमेंट पे आप उनसे लीजिए एक्स्ट्रा चार्जेस. भाई मैं तो रात को 12 बजे काम करूंगा, भाई इमरजेंसी के चार्जेस दे दो. अगली बार वो सबसे पहले आएगा काम कराने के लिए, क्यों नहीं आएगा?
Sir, if I am just, I'm seconding your view, but then with a direct example, if we book Ola and Uber during rainy season, they charge extra amount.
Correct.
If Ola and Uber can do, then why can't we chartered accountants?
Yes.
It's a simple formula.
हाँ, अगर हमने भाईचारा और दोस्ती बेयारी निभानी है तो फिर हमारी अपनी बात है. जब वो आपके फोन के कहने के पर, आपको आपके व्हाट्सएप मैसेज पर, आपके वो बाद में ये नहीं कह सकेगा कि जी मुझे आपने बताया नहीं. आजकल तो खैर लोगों ने एक और नया टेक्निक अपना ली है, वो नीले रंग वाली वो हटा देते हैं कि एज जी मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं. तो इज इट मी टू पुट द एवरीथिंग अंडर हिज आईज? नो. मैं ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या कर सकता हूँ, एक कॉल कर दीजिए, जरूर कीजिए, क्योंकि वी आर इन दिस सर्विस सेक्टर. हमारे कस्टमर है, रेगुलर कस्टमर है, दे आर नॉट वन टाइमर्स. ठीक है, ये फॉर्मूला सभी के साथ आप नहीं निभा सकते. जो बड़ी पार्टीज हैं उनके साथ नहीं निभा सकते, बट कुछ एक को तो आप शट आउट कर सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
तो हाँ, आपके पास टाइम है फिर जरूर कीजिए. दिस इज माय हम्बल सजेशन. बाकी तो हमारे आज गाइड और वो सामने है, वो बता ही रहे हैं चीजें कैसे करनी चाहिए. जी. Thank you very
Sir,
much.
any other query?
सर ऑलमोस्ट डन है, तो एक ओपनली अगर किसी की क्वेरी है तो वो रेज हैंड कर सकते हैं अभी जो प्रेजेंट है मेंबर.
So it was pleasant discussion. It was pleasure discussing the issues with you all. If I have said something, anybody has felt being hurt, I convey my apologies for that. But then I really enjoyed deliberating with this August gathering, and wish you all a great time ahead. Wish you all a great evening ahead. Over to you, the organizers.
Thank you, Dignesh ji, for such a detailed deliberation and answering the queries of our members. Now it's time to move forward, and I would request CS Sarjeet that we are meeting to share his views and give conclusion. Sir, please.
Thank you, Moji. It was very elaborate and mind-boggling presentation I have ever heard on the security markets, security transactions. Elaborated with reference to case laws by various tribunals, government circulars, and instructions. Then how to deal with intraday and derivative transactions. Then what are speculative transactions, derivative transactions, how to work out turnover in case of speculative transactions or derivative transactions or options. Then the unanswered question only remained that how to maintain books of account. Here, I feel we can use broker statement. We can analyze broker statement and treat it as books of account. Then I think everything is covered, and I hope to learn more when there is workshop next week, maybe next week or so. So nice presentation, sir. Thank you very much. I, on behalf of bar, myself, very thankful to you for this presentation. And I won't be doing my duty if I don't thank the members for making this webinar a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your words. Now I would request Anshul ji, our executive member, for a formal vote of thanks. Anshul ji, please.
Good evening, everyone. It has been an honor to be part of this.
मोहित जी, अंशुल जी एक मिनट बस. मोहित जी कंबोज साहब कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे.
Please, sir, please.
He request karanga through the president to the learned speaker of the day, if he could permit us that any of our member, if he has any query at any point of time, so seek for his able guidance in the matter. This is my humble request.
It would be a pleasure answering all your queries, and whatever I have spoken right now in black and white, I would share to Mr. Jain. The document is ready. Unfortunately, I couldn't share my screen right now, but then I would be sharing that PDF file probably by night. You would be getting the WhatsApp, so that would be there with you. The file would be containing my number. Whenever they have any query on a WhatsApp, they can drop a query to me, or they can call me. I would be answering that query. It is always my duty to answer the query.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very
learn
much.
from the queries. I learn from the queries only.
Thank you, sir. Anshul ji, please.
Good evening, everyone. It has been an honor to be part of this webinar. On behalf of Team DTBA, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the speaker CA Jagnesh Kumar Parik जी. आपने सर बहुत अच्छी तरह से ये टॉपिक को कवर किया है. ये टॉपिक जो इस वक्त नीड ऑफ द आवर है. And I will also like to thank convener CA Rajiv Kaushal ji and his team for organizing this webinar. Also the participants whose queries has enlightened us and made this webinar a success. Thank you and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ji.
Thank you, Mr. Parekh, for sparing your valuable time from Ahmedabad. I think it is our first ever DTBA webinar from Ahmedabad, because earlier I think we didn't